Good evening, Super League fans. Everyone out there listening, hopefully you can hear us. We've had a bit of a we've had a delay on one of our of one of our special guests this evening, but we do have the former Halle, or is it current? What happened with Halle FC? We have the current or the reigning champion manager in the studio. Good evening.
Good evening. How are we?
I think we're doing very well.
Good, good.
How's
It's good to be here.
how's retirement treating you so far?
Oh man, this gardening's doing my head in, mate. Honestly, I'm still trying to get through all the champagne, man, from all the trophies that we've won before. You know what I mean? But I'm getting there.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. What have you made of the season so far, of all the new boys and what's been going on? Has it lived up to your expectation, and what were your expectations?
Uh, I mean, see, from my point of view, I mean, it'd be easy to sort of, be for selfish reasons, go, oh, if it fails, then it's only going to make, when I was doing it look better or whatever. But I'm generally not like that. I was chuffed that it was going to carry on. I mean, I was riddled with guilt that I was stepping back. Obviously, there was a lot going on at the time in my life. You know what I mean, with the dog and shit, and it was just too much. But when you said you were kind of keen to do it, I was quite relieved because obviously reading all the stuff you'd sent tactics wise and all that, I knew you were an organised bastard. You know what I mean? So I've watched I think 8 out of 10 episodes now, which isn't bad when you're not actually a manager. Do you know what I mean?
I was gonna
Um,
say that's good going.
Aye, and I mean it's like one of those. I might not watch it live, but I quite like having it on in the background at the weekend if I'm doing something. You know what I mean? And then just
Hmm.
have that on and listening to it. And it's been, I think you're doing a great job, man. You know what I mean? And it's been good getting the variety of pundits on as well with their dim views. You know what I mean? It's all been good as well.
I think that's probably one of the biggest changes because, of course, the format hasn't changed much of the league. You know, it's still the same league, still the same team. There's a couple of players in that weren't in the original one, and but apart from that, it's pretty much the same. But I think what has changed is
Uh,
maybe a little bit the broadcasting. I mean, Fifey's still doing his blog. We're still all messing about
yep.
on Twitter. It's more this kind of like that we've had more people on. I don't know if people were just more quiet last year. I mean, I know I was on once, I think,
Yeah,
last
you were.
year. I know you
Yeah,
had a
thank
few
you.
people on,
Nice.
but we've tried to do it a little bit more interactive, and there's a lot of people who've kind of enjoyed coming on and having a bit of a laugh. I mean, I think
Without a doubt, man.
we've probably
No,
had
without a doubt.
half the league on so far. I think of all
I think that aye,
all the
that's
various
good, man.
folk.
That's good because you want to keep everyone sort of interested as well. And the best way to do that is involving them, no
Hmm.
matter what way that is. You know what I mean? And obviously, you've got a great way of doing it here, where you've got the ability to do group conversations on Skype, which I think I learned how to do on the second last game of the season last year. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I only found out how to share a screen midway
Yeah.
through last season as well. So fucking, I mean, you've definitely took it up a notch in terms of the production side of things, mate.
Well,
Mine was organized chaos. This is organized.
well, I had to learn quickly. I'd never even installed the streaming software or anything before I tried.
Really?
I just thought I'd give it a go because, I mean, why not? I couldn't let the
Definitely.
I couldn't let the league die. I mean, I'd only just joined, so I thought it would be worth keeping. And I'm definitely pleased that we've managed to keep the legacy alive. You know,
Without a doubt.
because it's too much fun. It's too good to let it go. But I'm pleased that you like the format and the way things are going. With regards to the results, to the table, what has surprised you and what hasn't? I mean, you've got we've got the table up there. I mean, you can see you've
Yeah.
got one of the new boys top, followed by a couple of the old guys. Well, quite a few
Uh,
of the old guys actually.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to see the new teams involved and some obviously old famous names as well still involved. I mean, to be honest with you, with the league table, I would have said that the one that really surprised me is that wee prick Jamie who's coming on soon. You know what I mean? I mean, he's bumped both my tactics this season so far. Both of them that won me both leagues. And he's still doing shit. He's only scored 9 goals in 10 games, and I think he has been a real surprise. It is no shock whatsoever to see that Diddy Swindon at the bottom. I think it was 33 goals conceded. If I'm aye, there it is
Yeah,
33 goals
33.
in 10 games. I mean, Jesus Christ. Somerset Sloths, I didn't know much about them. I mean, I see they're at the bottom. I've had the odd private mail from other managers and stuff talking about transfers and what do you think of this, what do you think of that. And I generally thought he was taking the piss at first. You know what I mean? I thought he just made his mind up. But maybe he's not. Maybe there's going to be big things that come from them. I would expect Ardsley Celtic to get in that top six as well. From what I can remember, their squad looked pretty strong. And I think the last time out they beat Hoddesdon 5-2.
Hmm.
I mean, it's no surprise to see them in the top two places yet again. Parmouth and Icos will be getting a nosebleed soon. That's as high as they've ever got. I didn't
Yeah,
know
yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't know I didn't know knew how to play the game with the actual players from that era. He seems to only get good after 2020. You know what I mean?
When it's all the regions coming in, yeah,
Aye,
that's
definitely.
that's true actually. But yeah, I think he was. I mean, we can maybe probably touch on it later, but I think he was disappointed to miss out. You see how close he was, and
Yeah.
then he got champed at the Bolton against Ryan last week.
Right.
Otherwise, he would have gone top. That's
Really? Right. Okay. I must have missed that bit. I
that
did
would be
watch last episode, man. Um,
that would be some place to see Parramatta United sitting top of
oh,
the table,
I
huh?
think deep down the wee nice side to me, who I don't bring out very often, but the nice side to me would be pretty chuffed for him. I think if he was to go top, you know what I mean. He's definitely a Super League icon, someone who definitely brings a lot to the table, and I think it would mean a lot to him to get to the top. So, yeah, I suppose there's a nice part of me that would be quite chuffed to see him there. The mischievous side of me will laugh endlessly if he finishes seventh again.
Yeah, and he does have. I think he has. He does play Jamie. I think away in the last. I think it's away, either away or home. He does play Jamie again at the last game of the season. So there's every
Wow.
so
Okay.
so there's every
History
chance of
could
that happening.
history could repeat itself.
Well,
Wow.
we'll see. Anyway, that's how the league has been going so far.
Yeah.
We've got some of the teams that have. We'll see Midlothian. I think they're are
Yeah, I've
they at.
looked at this. I looked at this. This was shown at the end of the last episode,
Uh-huh.
and the away form, no one's really shining yet away from home, and that is where to pinch points in the league. Your home form, everyone should be roughly winning. I would say 70%, let's say, of your home games. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Minimum. And then if you can pinch points away, you'll climb up that league table fast. I mean, if you look at Aston at the top there, they've only won 3 out of 5. There's no one with that really surprising away record. And I think when we were on, one of our many famous runs in that league last season, I think at one point Hala had only lost one game away from home out their first 11. See
Hmm.
if you can get points in 10 out of 11 away games, you'll be in one of the higher places in that league. And I think it's going to take, I know Midlothian are obviously the famous sort of club for their away record. Have they lost every away game, haven't they? And
Yeah,
won
yeah,
every.
yeah. I mean, they've got a 12-1,
Um,
12 goals scored, one against at home, and away they're 2 goals scored and 13 against. They're like complete opposites, home and
uh,
away. So it's tricky. I mean, you can see some of the teams like Dragon, Sloths,
yeah,
Swindon, they're not picking up points away from home, but Midlothian is kind of the odd one out here, where
yeah.
the away form
And then
absolutely
the home form.
best, no resemblance to the home form.
And what I would advise him, I mean, I've been doing it quite a lot now in my own saves, and I know better than anyone in the Super League. What you're doing in your own personal saves can go out the window in the Super League. However, what I am doing now in my personal saves is it's all I can currently relate to is with my team. I was finding that at home I'm playing a more sort of that the famous diamond midfield with the two wing backs formation at home, and then away I'm doing the three DMCs. So it's a slightly more contained sort of formation. It's more slightly more reserved. It's still got attacking qualities to it, but
Hmm.
it's more protection at the back, and I'm using that in the big away games, and
Yeah.
then at home. So whatever Midlothian's doing at home right now is fucking working, right? Because he's 5 out of 5 tells you, oh, he's
Uh-huh.
needing to maybe look at, but just because he's won a game at home doesn't mean you keep that same formation for the next game. If it's away, he maybe needs
Hmm.
to tweak that side of it and have a wee look at that because you can't ask for much more than what he's doing at home. But yeah, 5 wins out of 5, 5 defeats out of 5 away. It's what's costing him a place in the top six in the story.
Yeah, there definitely is, and I think he has been trying to change it up away from home, but perhaps not so successfully. Either way, that's the league as it stands.
Yeah,
The Swedes are ahead of the pack, and they're still
good to
but
see.
as you can see, I mean, Churchtown on 14, BTEC on 12 points, they're still very close to the top six. I mean, Dragons they probably need to start picking things up, and it's not looking so good for Sloss and Devils, but it's still all to play for. And obviously we've got now the transfer, the much debated transfer window coming
Mm,
up, where I managed to make myself unpopular by changing my mind after having people having
I did
negotiated about
see
10
quite a bit.
transfers.
I seen quite a bit about it, Martin. I
Yeah.
think it was getting a bit silly. I know there was the what was it called? The BTEC rule or something like that. Was
Oh,
in goal.
The Edwards ruling or something.
Edwards law or something. Yeah. Um, I mean, he, he's not the type of person to do anything, snidely. You know
Uh-huh,
what I mean?
exactly.
However, it is not great form to be already agreeing selling on players that you've not actually came in the building yet. You know what I mean? I think it was. I mean, he's only trying to negotiate and get the best possible squad together that he can. But
Hmm.
I think in hindsight, it wasn't done untowardly towards anyone. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't done in a untowardly towards anyone. Jesus Christ.
Hmm.
It wasn't done, with any sort of undercurrent of darkness. You know what I mean? It was just. It was a bit foolish, and I think it did lead to you. As much as you're saying you've changed your mind, I think your hand was kind of, your arm was kind of twisted. You know what I mean? Like you had to do it. You know what I
Yeah, I
mean?
mean, I think something had to be to be
Yeah,
done. I mean, we've gone over it a number of times. It's just nice to get your
yeah,
view on it as well. But I think
uh,
when we start swapping sort of average DMRCs for other average DMRCs just because we can, then then it's not really so great. And we were 5 games in at the time. Half the squads hadn't even played half of their players, so I'm not sure what it was. But either
I,
way, it is what it is.
I've got a real bugbear. I mean, I think you're obviously of the same attitude. I mean, there was a lot of, I felt, wacky imagination from the managers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, there's
In terms of transfers, it was always, they were always just what to bid for. And I've made this point, I've exhausted this point over the years, but I mean, the fucking, like the famous players of that era
mm,
don't necessarily make the best championship manager players. You know what I mean?
mm.
And I felt that people are falling for names all over again. I think, again, I'm picking on Jamie before he comes on. I'll be sucking up his arse once he comes on. Like, but he paid in the last season. Remember the January window or whatever it was. He paid 30 million for David Beckham. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
everyone knows Beckham's not really that good in the game. You know what I mean?
Well,
He,
I've been slated for saying that he wasn't, but
oh,
so
I don't think he's great.
that's
And
one of the few things I got right maybe with regards to the
Yeah, you did,
players.
mate. And he certainly never pulled up trees in the Super League. So
No,
it
no,
wasn't
no.
like you were getting someone who had the track record of the past 4 years of doing well. And yet there's 30 million
Yeah.
pounds getting punted on
It's
him.
ha- we're hardly
Uh,
talking Neil Scally quality here, are we?
oh, mate, I tell you, you're treading water, man, with me, man, on that one. I'm sitting last night watching that broadcast, just slating Neil Scally, and on
Yeah.
Twitter you're telling me Chris Sutton was a diddy. And I'm like, this is all at the same time. This guy is doing my head in from two ways.
Yeah, so definitely, I mean, Dragons have got some work to do in the transfer market. The rumors are, so none of these are confirmed. Obviously, no transfers will be confirmed until
Oh yeah,
after
you
week
sent me these,
13.
mate. You sent me that top one is a joke. I'll let you disclose it, mate. But fucking what?
I mean, the rumor has it that Bolton are paying more than 20 million for Montella, who I don't think has scored this season. So that's kind of, I mean, when they've got Henri, Fowler, and Shearer already, that's maybe, but
I
we'll see.
mean,
We'll
I
see how
mean,
that works out.
I thought that Ryan was going to be a shrewd operator, man. He talked the talk pretty well, and I did agree with a lot of the things he said. But I can't back up signing Montella for 20 odd million pounds. I
Mm,
mean, he's not got the track record in the league. He's again. I mean, I'm going back over old ground saying the same statements and that, but he's not got a great Super League track record. Um, you're saying he's not scored yet this season. There's another club willing to get rid of him to a league rival, which tells you all you need to know. Um, and then you're thinking, why is no one thinking of who's great goal scorers that maybe are outside the box? I mean,
outside the
you've got to,
league, even there's plenty
yeah,
of interested,
that's
very
what I
very
mean.
highly rated
Outside the
players
league.
outside the league you could have looked at as well. But yeah, I mean he's willing to give it a punt. I mean all the managers have 100 million in the first
That's not,
season,
yeah,
and
that's
with
not
it
a
with
punt though. That's a quarter of your budget, man. You know what I mean? That's
yeah.
25% budget gone on one player. It's interesting.
Yeah, well, we'll see. And it looks as if he's going to be replaced by Brosek, joining the Dragons. Probably a good signing. He's still a bit young, but I mean, he
Mm.
can hardly do any worse than Montella, to be honest. And he can perhaps cover better for Keane in that attacking midfielder role as well,
Yeah, I
where they've
think
struggled.
Project for now, when he's younger, I would play as an AMC. I know I could be talking piss here, you know what I mean? It's only a game for fuck's sake. But I
Hmm.
seem to think when he's younger, I would be more inclined to play him um, as an AMC, and then up top later on. Like I think Hooligans was sort of playing him up front. Season three, I think it was, that Brozek scored a barrel load. Now I know Ian's saying that Montella was scoring loads last season for Apollo. I think he got 9 goals. I could be
Mm.
wrong. I'll double check it. But I mean, 9 goals. I mean, fucking that's 9 goals. That probably was all he'd scored combined in the 3 years before that. So I'm not backing down on the 26 million being a rip off. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Of the other interesting transfers, I mean, without going into too many details,
Yeah.
we've got Buffon going to BTEC. I mean, they desperately need a keeper, and Sloths have got several keepers. I mean, Buffon is
Yeah,
maybe
when you
not.
look at BTEC squad, so just to
Yeah,
familiarise
absolutely.
myself with
We'll
the
we'll we'll have a
goalkeepers,
look. We'll have a
I'm
look
not
at
sure.
the. Oh, I need to.
Oh, so he's got Abiati. I mean,
Yeah,
to be
but he's not really been. I mean, whether it's Abiati's
wow,
fault, he's
27-10.
he's not, he's not really. I mean,
Shit.
BTEC. Again, we'll touch about that on when we come to the game. But BTEC are
Of
the
course.
only team who have conceded in every single game they've played. And
And now
Abiati is.
Abiati was Faircombe Hall's number one the full 4 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, well,
A title winner. I'm sure he was.
well,
Um,
he's going to be relegated to the bench, I think,
yeah,
when and if
but Buffon is
Buffon
an
comes
upgrade.
in. So
Buffon is an up. That is an upgrade, definitely. That's a good signing.
yeah,
Um, Goalkeepers is, I've got to admit, one of my only flaws in the game is I've always struggled with keepers. I don't know what it is. I'm not.
yeah.
I don't. I think it's very difficult to get. I find when my goalkeepers have good statistics such as played 40 games, only conceded 20 goals, say,
Hmm.
but their average rating only seems to be like a 7.05, which makes me think, you know what I mean, like quite low sevens or late sixes, and I'm like, but that looks really good.
Yeah, I
If you've
mean,
got these
I th-
so I
I
don't
tend
know.
to find mostly like regenerated goalkeepers and things like that that do particularly well. But
I'm
yeah,
already with that, mate.
we'll see how how Buffon does when he joins. A couple of other there's a couple of fullbacks on the move. So Roberto Carlos apparently going to Midlothian. Swindon I think have got cover on that left hand side. And Midlothian don't. They've been playing Eric Addo out there regularly. And Estebaria, who's unhappy at Churchtown, is apparently going to Chutley. Who I think Estebaria is a good signing on that right hand side. Um,
Yeah, I mean it's just all about pace and crossing, isn't it? If you've got someone in the wing, and whether they've got a high work rate, if you're going to be utilising them on their own, which I mean you never really see in the Super League. I've noticed that since the restart, you very rarely are going to see in the Super League, fullbacks and wingers. You know what I mean? It's going to be one player marauding up each side if you play with wide men at all. Obviously,
mhm,
quite a lot of teams just go completely narrow. Um, but um, what you need to do is make sure they've got a high work rate as well. That is crucial.
mhm,
Uh, you can't afford really to have someone with a low work rate unless it's Roberto, who defies that argument completely. I think his
true.
work rate's an 8. But other than him, you're looking for someone with high pace, acceleration, crossing, and work rate. And stamina. They're the sort of four sort of go tos for the wide
Yeah,
position.
that's what you need to be looking at. Well pointed out. So we should really employ Andreas as the kind of control officer on the show, who just pointed out that the BTEC had the two goalkeepers on the bench. I'm not
Oh,
entirely
good
sure.
spot, Martin. Good spot,
Not sure how
Andreas.
not not sure how I managed to do that, but I have been quite injury prone. I have been quite mistake prone recently.
It's
I think
difficult, man.
I think the
It's
other ones I've
difficult.
got right, but
You think it's easy. I mean, it sounds because you need to remember from a manager's point of view, they're going, fucking hell, Martin, I gave you, 3 substitutions to do. That was it. Or 3 swaps of players into the lineup. But you're going, yeah, times that then by 14, mate. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
then
no,
you've
they've
got
been.
Swindon sending you a fucking broadsheet, you know what I mean? And then you were sending me emails that were longer than the Harry Potter novel, you know what I mean? I was like, oh my God. So,
To be fair, people have been quite understanding and
yeah,
sort of
exactly.
realistic about it when I've had a few slip ups. But of course, pitting two keepers on the bench, yeah. But
It can happen, though. It can happen. It's
All I need to do is give up my actual job, and then as I had for a month, I had so much time for the Super League. Now I'm kind of struggling, so
No, my
maybe that's
friend.
what's doing it.
2 seconds, mate.
Uh huh. While
Can you hear me?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think we've lost Mr. Co-commentator. Um, I will try to get him back on. Hello. Only the best and most professional streams. Are you back? Just a small technical glitch. Nothing difficult. Nothing we can't handle here in the Super League studios. We try again.
Hello.
We try again.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, I hear you fine.
Cool. Right, back in the room. I must have pushed the button. I don't know what happened, man. I'm wearing this dodgy headset from old job. I've no idea what I did, man. No idea what happened.
Stop pressing buttons, please. I trust you can see the screen and everything is fine.
Yes, I can. Yes, we are back in the
Excellent.
room.
Excellent. Right. Well, good to have you back in the room. I think people are probably itching to get started with the games. I do like
Yeah.
to drag it out a little bit, but let's just have before we start, let's have a super quick look at last week. Pick out one game for me. Which result stands out for you in this lot?
I mean, obviously, I think it was touched on in the last broadcast with Ardsley Celtic result is a coming of age for them. That is going to be, the result that propels them up the table. No doubt about that. I think, though, a lot needs to be said for BTEC beating Astor. I know, um, the legend that is Old Alf. I say a massive hello to him. I met up with Alf once, of course, before. He's a really top bloke. I know the wheels have came off the Astor train slightly of late. Whilst BTEC have obviously been getting serious questions asked about the dodgy dealings and how come he's not getting a tune out the team.
That's
That win could be a real springboard for them as well.
Yeah, I mean they've got a tricky away tie this evening in Sweden, but we'll see how they go. Um, well, thank you very much for your insights and for your banter and for your views on proceedings so far.
Just you getting rid of me now.
No, no, no. I'm leading smoothly into tonight's action. We have got let's have a look. We have got our first game up. I had this somewhere. I have it here. It's Arsenal Celtic against Aston Athletic. So obviously, um, the Ardsley. Let's have a quick look here. If we're looking at Ardsley's tactics for the game tonight, this is a tactic that is quite popular at the moment.
Yeah, that's the
Um,
one I was referring to earlier, the diamond one. Yeah. Um, for me, I would just have the fullbacks going that wee extra line forward, to the AM level. Other
mhm.
than that, I hope he's got short passing on for that formation. Because obviously, you want to play some intricate passing with those four in the middle of the park. You know what I mean? It's a gung ho formation. I think personally that at home that is the best formation to use for home matches. And I think when you've scored 5 away in your last game, I'm expecting Ardsy to give Asta a tough night tonight. To be honest to you,
Yeah, and Morientes with 4 goals in his last game,
has he got
partnered by
7 this season?
Tristan.
Did I read? Did I
Yeah,
read he had 7 goals this season?
he has three. He scored. Played three,
7
scored
goals.
7. But if you look at
Frightening.
his finishing, his flair, his heading, his off
Yeah.
the ball, his
Yeah.
strength. Mm,
He's one of those players who's not blessed um, with amazing, all round game. He's not got, a lot of those attributes there are sort of low teens,
yeah, there's tens,
10s and
ones,
11s,
sevens.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But he's got the key ones right, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Off the ball, finishing, uses his strength, good header. That's all you need, man.
yeah.
Bit of
Well,
technique and a good manager.
yeah. Well, we'll definitely see how Arsenal get on tonight. We've got on the other side of the table, we've got Aston Athletic.
Yeah, I recognise that one too.
Yeah, a few changes. Of course, not in the tactic from Al's perspective. Although
Sure.
he has dropped the arrow for Emerson.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. I mean, Emerson, I've never signed him really. I've never been able to get him. one of those players who just stays at Roma all his days. Really, you need to be the Roma boss to sign Emerson, I think. So not a clue what it's like to have have him in your team.
Mm-hmm.
I'm I'm not a fan of Placente in that central role. I think Zanetti can do it definitely. Placente's not a good enough player though to be playing out of position.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would have rather seen Bishkan in the DMC role
Mm-hmm.
and then Coco pushed out to where Placente is, and
Mm-hmm.
Placente comes out the team, and then you put in
Can put in
Ayala
Ayala in
at the
the
back. Yeah, I mean
yeah
that's personal. That's just a personal
personal
preference.
preference.
Up front, I'm intrigued to know how Nicolai's doing.
Yeah, he's done. To be fair, he got a majority of
Good
the goals at
record,
the beginning of the season. I mean, five
record.
goals in eight, but I think he had like three or four in his first four or five, and then not
Uh huh.
nothing. But if but
He's
it-
20.
but
He's
they haven't
20
really
years old.
scored much.
No,
Um,
I mean the thing is with Nicolai, it's nice to see a different name as well. Do you know what I mean? I
that's
don't think
true.
he wasn't in the league before, so it's Alf who was brilliant for it in his couple of years at Stackington, thinking outside the box with these signings,
Hmm.
um, and therefore I think Nicolai again that's someone who's done their homework before the drafts were done for the squads. That's someone who's been checking on who the
Yeah,
best option to buy would be.
yeah. And how do you think San ended up with Palmer? Was that just blind luck, or did Palmer
Say
do
that
his
again.
homework?
Saha.
Eb Sand.
Ebby Sand, yeah, I mean, again, he's not someone I've ever signed, to be honest with you. I don't think.
We'll
Um,
we'll touch on him when we get to the Parma game. Let's kick off the first game with Arsenal at home taking on Aston Athletic and see how it goes. See if we can
Definitely.
get some goals and some red cards and some chaos to start off the
Fancy a
evening.
home win, though, I must admit.
You think it's a
But we
home
all
win?
know how the Cocoms curse works.
Well, he does have Milevski who kind of rescues my Sloths team from being the worst team ever last season. So
He was unreal for you, really, wasn't he?
yeah, he was. I mean, if it wasn't for him, it would have been a lot worse, and it was terrible anyway. So fairly even so far. I mean,
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say that.
looks like a even share. Oh, there's Tristan getting back in the
It's-
goals.
I mean, Tristan's someone definitely who could be banging them in. I think it was last season he started on five. He's got another one.
He's got another one just there.
Um, but yeah, Tristan had an electric
Oh,
spell. Waddesdon, oh dear, things go from bad to worse for Alfie boy.
there you go. He's gonna have to put on Ayala for someone.
Now, I'm just looking at the comments. He said Biscan injured. Alf did. Is he?
No, he's fine.
Totally confused. Totally confused by that one then.
Maybe he
Um,
was. Maybe he'd been injured in the past. I'm not entirely sure. Either way, I think what are we sacrificing a striker here? I think.
I think
Um,
yeah, you were gonna put you want to keep the shape
I
as similar as
was
you can. Now
I
he's
was
not
gonna say.
Palmer. He's not going to go one at the back. As tempting as that would be, I would be saying you'd be taking off either Nicolay or Smith.
Yeah, I was gonna say the
Um,
same.
I think if
Um,
Nicolay's the top scorer, I'd probably take off Smith. Ian saying that
778.
Nicolay scored last week as well, so
77. I'll take Alan Smith off for Ayala. I mean,
I think
he does have to chase a win, but we can't leave it like
one at the back's a bit
completely open
dodgy,
at
though,
the
isn't it?
back. I'll
But
leave
again, this is
Nicola.
a tough part of the job, mate. This is a
Yeah,
tough
yeah, yeah.
part
I'm gonna
because
leave
really,
Nicolay on the side. I mean, normally I would put two front arrows on these and put Nicolay in the middle, but I don't want to mess up Alp's formation here.
mm,
So
yeah, because if they're both running into his backside, it'd be a bit weird. I know what you mean.
yeah, I just don't like the look of it, but we'll see. Anyway, I think is Bartes still in goal? Yeah, he is still in goal for some reason. Um, yeah,
Mm,
he had a shocker last time out, Bartes, and he's having another shocker this time. But
yeah, yeah. I mean, he's someone though.
or did he have a shocker? How did he get an eight?
He had five.
Oh, he got a five. Oh yeah, that's last week.
Yeah,
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 of
yeah.
course. Yeah, five last
He's on
week.
a five this week as well. But I mean,
True, true.
yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're consistently playing fives, you need to change it. But I mean, he's going to keep faith with them based on all those eights that he was getting previously, and obviously the good form that they had shown. I think though they've came up against an Ardsley side that's just riding the crest of a wave now. I mean, if you put
Bang in
five past
form.
Livingston away, they were always going to be up for tonight at home. I fancied them anyway to win.
Yeah. Let's see what Nesta did to earn such a uh,
Two
Sowery
feet,
reckless challenge, 2 feet on Sowery.
no
Uh,
complaints.
It's a tough one for Alf after making such a great start to the season. Let's have a look at Arsenal. How they're not even playing that well, to be honest. I mean, there's a bunch of sixes in there as well,
Yeah,
handful
I
of
think
sixes.
at half time though, I've noticed that like, see, sometimes you could be, say you're 2-0 up right now, Ardsley, and the game could finish 2-0, right?
Hmm.
And yet I guarantee you, even though they've not scored in the second half, all those ratings will bump up a notch.
True, 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 true.
It's
If
weird.
if you keep a clean sheet, you always get like all your
Yeah.
defenders already always get another point. More shots from Alf, two on target, but Canizares saves both of them. I have a feeling that I put on Canizares by mistake for Ardsley a couple of weeks ago, and he's kept him since. Either way,
Really?
yeah, I think that might have been what happened. Either way, we'll kick off the second half. There's no instructions for either manager at halftime, so we'll continue as is and see if we can get some more action in the second half. I mean, there might be a way back in for Astor if they start taking some of the chances. To be honest.
Well, they've always got a chance. I mean, Alf's a wily old fox, and they've always had a lot of good results this season already. But the 10 men thing's a bit of a killer for me. I can't see them creating too much in the second half.
Yeah, it
Let's
just
face
seems
it.
as if things have started going a little bit. I mean, maybe it's squad morale as well. If you get like two or three defeats on the trot, there's a lot of them on like low to good morale, and they're maybe not getting that boost that they need in the games.
Well,
Um,
Palmer's making that interesting point. Maybe it's time to have a wee tinker with it. And maybe just mix it up a little and then revert back to it. I kind of subscribe to that. If I'm being honest with you, I think that would be beneficial to Alf. Perhaps use a formation that's doing well for another club for a couple of games, see how it goes, take a couple of free hits, and then go back to this one. And it might, for some reason, I don't know, kickstart it again doing well. It is a
yeah,
game after all we're playing.
yeah. I mean, and to be fair, Arsenal did not impress anyone. I think in this
Average
match.
ratings went up.
The
Let's say the ratings.
average ratings obviously went up. Apart from Milevsky, who we talked up before, Volodenkov actually got an assist. So well done him. That's his debut coming. Oh, is it?
I've got, I've
He
got
came
to
in for
say,
Candela.
Volodenkov is someone I think is the sort of signing that. Now, the thing is with Ardsley, the balance they've got of real legends, champ man legends is perfect.
Mhm.
You need your first team sprinkled with players that no one's ever heard of before until Championship Manager. You know what I mean? That maybe didn't even
Mhm.
exist. Now he's got in there Milevski. I know he didn't play well tonight, but we know over the course of the season he will do well.
Mhm.
Him, Volodenkov, in there, I think is a couple of just wee gems mixed with, of course, the real quality great players that he's got in there. Your Tristans, well, Alan
Yeah.
Smith. I mean, I don't think he was great. You know what I mean? But
And then
he was on the cusp at the point when this game came out. He was firing for Leeds, and it's quite realistic what the sort of attributes they gave him. They obviously did expect him to
mhm.
kick on and become a world beater. I
Him
can
and Michael
understand that.
Bridges.
Yeah, totally. But I mean, Bridges was another one though. He's a frightening goal record that was just couldn't get him on the pitch.
Yeah, true. And as you mentioned before, when we were talking about the fullbacks or the wingers that you say you like to use in these positions, 19 acceleration, 20 agility, 19 crossing, 19 pace, 16 flair, 20 stamina, 19 work rate, either foot. I mean, what more do you want for a backup kind of, or even first choice
Yeah,
wing back?
he'll
I
get
mean,
he'll end up in the first team.
yeah,
I guarantee it.
yeah.
He'll do he will do too many good performances when used, when called upon, that it'll be impossible to drop him
Hmm.
eventually.
I mean, Candela's done okay, but he hasn't 722 and not a single assist. I mean,
9 games, that's poor.
yeah, I mean 955. That's his average international level, obviously.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
that's
I
not
can
good enough for
understand
transfer.
Bolodenkov being given the chance here, and it's obviously paid off for Arsenal results wise, if not performance wise, so much.
But if you're now going from spectacular performances, getting 3 points, then playing below par against a really good side like Astor and still getting 3 points,
Hmm.
hardly. We might be jumping the gun because it's only the first game in that, but I've got a feeling they're going to do particularly well the second half of this season. I know we're not quite the halfway point yet, but
Hmm.
I fancy them to be really pushing for top two.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that squad alone, it's a nice looking squad, I've got to say. Um, I don't know how it got. I'm not quite sure what the whole draft process was. I must have still been in the huff then. You know what I mean? Not paying attention to shit now. But I think whatever work he's then done to the squad or however it got drawn at random,
Hmm.
he's definitely came up trumps.
He
He's
had a
definitely
he
came
had
up
a decent
trumps.
squad to begin with. I think he did a bit of
Sure.
work to improve it, and he won the Vieira lottery that we had for the
Yeah.
forgotten Frenchman.
He's absolute key,
Who's
isn't
a
he? I mean,
complete beast with a good average. So yeah, it's looking good for Arsenal. It's looking
yeah,
good.
yeah, they'll kick on. Trust me. Look at that 5-2 win was a statement win. They'll
Hmm.
kick on.
Yeah. Next up, we've got Churchtown taking on Palmerton Icos. So
Oh, Kieran, my Chicago town man.
he's in New Zealand now. Chicago's
Has he
done.
moved to
It's
New Zealand?
finished. Yeah,
I
yeah,
thought
yeah.
he kept saying he was moving back to Ireland.
Well, he is, but
Well, he kept,
he's traveling the world first. He was in South
right, he's
America
traveling the
first,
world, right.
Japan, now New Zealand, and he's coming back to Ireland in the new year, as far as I know. But
I didn't have a fucking clue what he was talking about. He kept saying to me, I'm moving back to the old sod soon. And I was like, is he talking about his bird? And then it turns out, I think it's an affectionate term that Irish people call Ireland.
all right, well,
The old sod. I was like, what is this guy on about? Like he's gone back. I'm going back to the old sod in a few months. I was like, usually if I get kicked out, it's a couple of nights, mate. No, a couple of months.
yeah. Well, either way, Kieran's managed to email me through a tactics file. There aren't any arrows on it, so that's what it is.
Uh-huh.
Perhaps a little bit surprising, but this is what it looks like.
Yeah, no arrows.
Well, he's emailed it through. I'm not about to
No,
change
no,
it.
no. Oh, no, no, no. Definitely. I'm here. Just saying in terms of my surprise at him choosing not to do arrows.
Hmm.
It's
Uh,
the tactic that requires them, I think.
yeah, I mean,
I
otherwise, I'm not sure where's the possession in the attacking half gonna be if Ferguson and well maybe Ferguson, but if the fullbacks aren't moving or wide midfielders aren't really moving and the DMCs sort of Shinsuke Belletti aren't moving, then it's difficult to see who's gonna be in possession when they're in the opposition half. But maybe he's trying to keep away from that the Great Wall of Parma that we'll see shortly in front
of
of the
course. I
so.
mean, it's a brilliant centre half pairing Churchtown have got there though. Turam and Maldini is just that's deadly.
They
And
did
if
very well at the beginning of the season. I mean, they've not had the greatest of results recently, but they did exceptionally well at the beginning of the season. Didn't concede a lot, but things have kind of been a
mhm,
bit bumpy recently.
no, but that's going to happen. There's going to be ups and downs. Um, I love Ferguson in the middle as much as he played for you know who.
Yeah, yeah,
He
yeah.
was he's a class. He's a class.
He's
Um,
definitely missed him. If I remember rightly, is this when he got injured? Barry Ferguson played against Sloths, and then was it the next one? Yeah, no sign of him, and that was kind of when it started to go a little bit not so
results.
great for him.
He's a big player. He's a big player. And he was part of the first season title winning Hala team. Don't get me wrong. He did go off the boil for us, and eventually we let him go. Uh, but that first season, he was fucking immense in the middle of the park for us.
Hmm.
I think yeah, it's no surprise to see first season again him being a crucial part of the Churchtown squad.
Hmm. If we're looking at the Panathinaikos side, so Parma got champed at Bolton last time out,
Fucking hell,
missing
man.
the chance to go top of the league. Possible a bit of a morale hit, maybe more for the coach than the players.
So,
Um,
with regards to the formation, how many games has he been doing this with one at the back?
more than half,
Wow, and it's working then.
apparently so.
Wow, and good on him. Good on him for it's completely unique.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
bold.
absolutely.
It's in the spirit of Super League madness. I like that. Um, and looking at his players, I don't think that's an amazing first team. If I'm being honest with you, Ambrosini, nah, it's hit and miss. I only buy Ambrosini to punt him on for 10 million because for some reason he seems to always get good clubs interested in him.
Hmm.
And he never gets a first team game at Milan at the start, so you
Hmm.
can sign him for like 3 million, punt him for 10. Um, Patrick Powell's pish, mail shots pish. Um,
They've been
I'm
doing
not.
Patrick Powell's probably one of the players of the season so far, though.
Wow,
8-10 average so far. Couple of man
he's
of the
doing
match
well.
awards
He's
as
doing
well.
well.
Yeah, he's
He's
had.
he's, he's doing well. I think Vasiliuk first season it might be a bit much for him to get good goal tally. I think they'll come the next couple of seasons. He needs to stick with him because Vasiliuk, as we've all seen before, can become. I mean,
Quite good.
Vasiliuk can become yeah, deadly, absolutely deadly. Nicky Ferenko's obviously his ace in the pack. Um, again, it's I seem to get best results from Nicky Franco in that exact role he's playing, but with the slightly, the diamond formation, that one that we just seen Ardsley
Hmm.
use,
Hmm.
I think Nicky Franco in that role's fucking amazing. It'll be interesting to see if Palmer can get the sort of goal return he'll hope from Nicky Franco, because Super League's a different beast.
Yeah, I mean he's got five so far. I mean I think
It's
it's
not bad.
Vasiliuk who's been providing the assists, and then Sand and Nikiforenko getting the goals.
Brilliant.
So
Yeah,
perhaps stats are still can
still
develop
developing
further,
a bit.
but he's
Yeah.
he's he's doing he's doing well so far.
One and
So
two's not. I think 1 and 2. I've said this a million times. If you've got any player in the Super League getting you 1 and 2, you're doing all right.
yeah, because it's only really the top scorers that are going to get
Yeah.
close to getting like say point 0.8 out of the whole season. I mean, you're not going to get anyone getting a goal a game realistically over the full season. You'd be very lucky. They'd probably be the top scorer. I think Impensa got 21 or something like that last season as a top scorer, didn't he? So
Yeah,
so
that's right.
it'll be around that level. But let's see what Panathinaikos can do against Churchtown here.
Big test for them tonight. I think it's a tough one for. I think a draw wouldn't be the end of the world for Panathinaikos tonight.
We'll see what they have to offer. It could obviously, yeah.
Wow, what a start! He's a great player, Georgios. He is brilliant. There's no two ways about it. There's Iron Robin. I mean,
Iron Robin firing
Robin
straight
must only
back.
be what 17,
Yeah,
17 years old,
yeah, I think
and he's
so.
playing. Yeah,
We'll have a look at him at
decent.
halftime, but he's uh,
Yeah,
he's
sure.
uh, he's definitely an important player for Churchtown. I think already at such an early age.
Yeah,
As
but yeah. I mean
kind
that
of
because
replicating his real career, really. I mean, he was quite an
he,
early starter, wasn't he?
he was a wonder kid, wasn't he? I mean, he retired like in the summer. Then I'm
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
surprised. I was
yeah,
surprised.
yeah.
Like he was still doing it easy.
Still doing
Um,
easy at Bayern Munich, wasn't it? So
aye.
well, it kind of died down a little bit after an exciting start. Two goals in the first 6 minutes.
Two girls in the first.
Two girls in the first 6 minutes. It's all
No
it's all
bad,
go
man.
for
No
Kieran
bad.
and Palmer.
Not bad.
Yeah, Robin doing quite well, I think. I mean, all things considered, 7-14,
It's not bad.
not
It's not
bad
bad
at
for a
all.
17-year-old. And the more you play him, the quicker he starts to develop. That is
Hmm.
the other side of it as well. And then once they are developed, I mean, he could seriously cause damage in the league. Georgiatos, I mean, I've got nothing but good things to say about him as a fullback. I think he's immense.
Very strong as well, isn't he? I mean, a little
He's
bit low
quality.
on creativity and flair, but making up for it with pace, with
But
agility,
you get assists
agility,
off
with
him as well.
dribbling.
Yeah, you'll get assists off him as well. I mean, that's obviously scored today. That's a goal, 3 assists in his first 9 games. It's
Hmm.
not bad, but he'll get better.
Hmm.
He'll get better.
Yeah, looking at the performance, so Barry Ferguson maybe not impressing. Belletti also not really doing that much. Coco, so he's not really got a
Yeah,
lot out of the guys on the wings so far.
Bletty's a funny one. Bletty's a player that I brought to Holland the last season, and he was so. But the reason I'd went for him, he was outside the league, but I'd had a save with Spurs about 4 years ago, and he was unreal, like stupid good.
Hmm.
Um, So I don't know if he's maybe one of those folk he is, it's a hit or miss. He might, sometimes they go and have, amazing average ratings and do really well, and other times you just kind of get a tune out of them. Some players are really consistent when you sign them every time you know what you're getting, like Neil Skelly,
Hmm.
or you get Belletti, who I think might be a hit or miss. Looks like he's doing all right for Touchdown though so far. The other matches he's played, I don't know if
Yeah,
he's a first team regular.
yeah, he's done okay so far. Panathinaikos, Paul Robinson letting the side down maybe a little bit. Was that? Oh yeah, there's not been that many shots actually.
No,
Um,
no, I mean Robinson's not good enough. In my opinion. I don't think he's good enough. And I think if Buffon is moving to BTEC, then maybe Palmer missed a trick not trying to inquire about his availability. If obviously if a club's letting him go,
yeah.
he'd have been ideal for Panathinaikos
I
as
mean,
well.
he's had a decent average rating to be fair. So
Yeah.
we'll see what turns up in the second half. I mean, there's still all to play for. Both sides are still in it. We don't have a Wayne. Are you familiar with Wayne Oldham, the referees? Have you been following it enough to see who the referees are with the red cards? We don't know.
No.
I don't think we've seen David Oxton. I think we had a referee that gave like two red cards in the first week or something, and people have been are hoping to avoid him, to be honest. But
Gotcha. Yeah, that's quite an. It's quite an interesting aspect of the game I have never paid attention to
No,
in
me
18
neither.
years of playing it.
Me
I'm
neither. It was
surprised. You pay attention to most things, Martin.
yeah, but not the referees. No, I
Not the
don't change
referee.
the tackling whether it's a strict or lenient referee. I don't change my tackling
You could
options. But
you could end up in a fucking mire, couldn't you? Because then before you know it, you're then looking at the weather and you
you might
start
as
to
well
think,
play. Yeah. Oh, I don't play short passing in the rain. You might as well play. Might as
hey,
well play Football Manager 20 then.
nah, 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 don't do that. Don't fucking do that.
All right, we'll kick this off. We'll
Yep.
stick with it. We'll stick with the flash and text commentary and see if we can get some
Yes.
goals in the second half. Interesting to see Estebaria couldn't miss, but clearly he could.
Yeah. That's frustrating when that happens.
Yeah, and it's often, isn't it? I mean, that's one of the
Yep.
classics.
We
Oh,
did.
that's Barry
We
Ferguson.
did
We did
speak
say
about.
he was important.
We did speak about him.
Is a
Kieran's
way.
no mug though. Kieran's no mug. He'll have them fighting for that top six. You know what I mean? I think definitely come the end of the season they'll be there or thereabouts.
Mm,
Um, I don't envisage them challenging at the top end. I think that they'll definitely be in the fight right to probably the last week. As for Panathinaikos, um, I don't think it's the worst result in the world. I think they need to stay positive. It was an even Stevens match, looking
yeah,
at all
fairly
that.
even game, wasn't it?
It was. I mean, there's not much in that at all. It's a difficult away game. Move on.
Yeah,
That's the only attitude you can take
that's
from that,
probably
mate.
the lesson he can take from that. And don't play Paul. I mean, he has done okay. I think he was waiting for Oliver Dacour to come back from injury or something like that. But to be honest, has he been? He's been okay, I guess. But I was maybe
He's one.
expecting
See, the thing is with Dakar, for me, he's got to play where Ambrosini was playing. He's got to play the DMC.
in the central.
He has to be set. He has to be centre. As for Ambrosini, I would try him if you're intent on playing him. I would switch the two of them, and I would
Hmm.
give Ambrosini a go at playing on the right hand side of it, maybe bombing forward a bit. Um, but yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think there's too much to worry about. I mean, again, he's only been narrowly beaten 2-1 playing one fucking defender.
Yeah, I mean that that is true.
It could
And
be worse.
Cannavaro doesn't even get that spectacular. I mean, he's done well, but his average hasn't even been that spectacular to be honest. But
No,
he's holding it all together at the back. Ebesand continuing to do quite well. I mean, not scoring, but at least getting an assist and having a
sure.
few pops.
Triple
If you look at Churchtown, Estebaria,
career.
who could be on his way to Chudley Cannons with two assists, obviously doing whatever he
Interesting.
can to get himself in the window. He's been very unhappy with his manager, with the club, with
Oh, has
everything.
he?
Yeah, so I think Kieran's just trying to get rid, personal problems, etc. One of those. I think he's
Wow.
trying to get rid, but something has motivated him to go out there and get two assists today. So we'll see if that changes anyone's mind. But I think the deal
Of
has
course.
been signed and agreed. So that could be
Exclusive, mate. Exclusive. Yeah.
but a good game for him anyway. Good to see Robin getting an 8 after we spoke about him for a 17-year-old kid. If you can get him playing, I mean, that's one for the future. But if he's also one for now, then that's you sorted in
Even
that
better.
position, isn't it?
Therefore, Soroshinsky, another Belarusian hero, doing well. Ferguson not having
He's
his best
Australian.
game
What are
at
you talking
Swindon.
about?
Oh shit, yeah.
We're all Australians here. Yeah,
so
but doing
is
well.
so is like Maldini Australian or is he?
Everyone's Australian.
Oh wow.
Yeah. All the 360 odd players in the Super League and the another 60 that we agreed on the shortlist have all been changed to Australian, so they don't count as foreigners.
Yeah, because I think we did it before when the first draft was done with
Hmm.
Alan.
Yeah, and plus
Um,
it,
I
it, it makes it easier because, as you probably know, when you've tried to do deals yourself, you get like 50% of the players going, I don't want to move to Oceania or whatever, even if we've
yes.
boosted the league's reputation and everything. So we've set a lot of players outside the league to Australian nationality as well to increase the
Have you?
chances. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
quite
yeah.
clever. What the other thing to do? The only other option you would have had there. I know this is all by the benefit of hindsight. Would have been to lower the reputations of all the
Oh, done
sort of
that as
major
well. Yeah,
clubs.
done that as well.
You did that as well.
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
so you
We
should
did
be all
we
right
did
then.
what we could. Anyway, that's a technicality. We need to we need people want action. Um, let's move on. We've got the. I'm not sure. It doesn't look as if Jamie will be joining us, unfortunately. Or does it? Russell, have I lost you again? It looks as if I've lost my co-commentator again. So if you bear with me a second, um, let's see. Let's see if we can get Russell back on the line. I'm not sure if he keeps unplugging things or ran out of battery or something. It's BTEC up next, or is it? No, it's absolutely not. It's Dragons up next. We'll see if we can line this up while we try to get Russell back on the line. Doesn't seem to be happening. Okay, so it looks as if you're stuck with me. That might speed things up a little bit, but we'll see. Maybe he'll come back on. I'm not entirely sure what technical issues he's facing at the moment. Uh, However, what do you mean 5v? 50 minutes and two games is the way it's meant to be. We've got Dragons up next. They're taking on Bolton Phoenix. Dragons at home. Tactic wise, nothing particular new or unexpected. We've got Giggs is back at left back. Kalata Tomasi. No sign of Vampeta. I'm sure some will be disappointed and some will be delighted. But he's not starting today. We've got Montella. Viduka's back after sitting out a game due to his possibly poor attitude or his lack of interest in scoring goals, or perhaps both. They're up against Bolton Phoenix. Bolton Phoenix, who have already apparently issued no longer wanted statements to a couple of players here. Their tactics are similar to what we've seen from them recently. I can't exclusively reveal that Alex is the mystery man who comes in at left back due to I believe it's a failed fitness test for Dede. Um, we'll have to wait and see how that works out. It's perhaps unusual, but we saw Estebaria doing exceptionally well in the last game. So there's hope for Alex and his performance tonight as well. If we have a quick look at the game, we can see that the Dragons are at home. They had such a disappointing day out last time at Swindon, and it's really now is probably the time where they need to get some points on the board if they don't want to write off the full season. 9 points at this stage is definitely not enough. With regards to Bolton, their form has been very impressive recently. I think it's only Valen who has a better streak at the moment. And maybe they will return to dominating the matches. We see them in their away kit, I think, for the first time in their blue and white. They have had 3 clean sheets in a row as well. I think only Valen has conceded less goals so far this season, so there's definitely hope for Bolton. Because that was a problem that they had early on this season, but the tactic they have at the moment seems to be working well for them. And the question is then just whether Figo will continue scoring, but I guess we'll find out shortly. So let's kick those one off and see if there's anything to for Dragons to celebrate tonight, or if Bolton Phoenix will continue their good run of form. It's certainly fairly even so far. Probably a few more chances for Bolton. Perhaps unsurprisingly, the way they have been playing and been used to dominating games, it was just last time out against Panathinaikos where they did the champing thing. Be interesting to see. Oh, it's Keane. Keane is back. He's having one of those days. This could be difficult. This could be a difficult time for Phoenix if Robbie Keane continues that. He did have a 3 goal game recently, and has been the person that Dragons have been relying on really for getting them their results. But there's Figo, that man we talked about, the one that no one can ever get to work and no one likes because he always wants to leave the club and is unhappy with his conditions, etc., etc. Excellent first half. A lot of excitement, a lot of entertainment, and a 1-1 so far. If we're looking at the match stats, that's been fairly even as well. It looks as if we've got Russell back on. Do we have Russell Boyce back on the line?
BT get to fuck, man, honestly. Paying for it. That was the Wi-Fi just complete. I've just had to hardwire it. I've just had to find the biggest. I've got a 300-meter cable now running through my house. You know what I mean? From the router to the computer. I don't know. I mean, this is the expensive one I've got with them too. Actually,
Yeah.
the
Well,
expensive. So I worked for them, eh? So it was like they gave you the big fancy one, the big fancy fast broadband.
yeah. I don't think I don't think this is good advertisement for. I don't think this is good advertisement for BT at all. He's having a nightmare at the moment. Is Mr. Boyce. Um, look at the bright side. It at least is entertainment. Well, I'm being entertained anyway. I'll have a look at the stats while I try to get, or while we try to get Russell back online. I'm not entirely sure what his issues are, but well, you'll hear it anyway if the Skype goes off again. If you're looking at the Dragons' performance for the first half, Ryan Giggs is finally finding his feet at that wing back position. Perhaps not his preferred or his most natural position, but he came up with an assist today. Robbie Keane got the goal, so that's something that the Dragons can take away from this so far, is that Viduka and Montella aren't really delivering. I mean, it's a lot. You mentioned, people mentioned Montella did well, but that's a lot of money for that. We will see. Maybe he will work out for his new owners. Bolton, they've been quite terrible, to be honest. Pretty low quality match, in all fairness. Casillas doing quite well to keep the opponents out. Verong getting an assist. Verong has not really been something to write home about this season so far as well. He has got quite a few goals, a couple of penalties, I think, but not the highest average. As for the rest of it, I mean, Alex is perhaps not working as well as he could have hoped for. We've got Alan Shearer is probably going to come off if I remember rightly. Alan Shearer coming off for Henry. We'll see how that works out for Bolton in the second half. I think they will be hoping for more. Bolton with the side that they had and the results they've had recently. I mean, that's a clean sheet record gone. Should they lose their non-losing streak as well, that would be a shame for them. We'll see what happens in the second half. Still all to play for, both sides. No red cards or anything. So we'll see who can come up with a decisive goal in the second half. Very very quiet first 15 minutes, and then a goal for Robbie Keane. Then Keel is kind of not doing particularly well. Um, I don't think there's anything to be done here. I think we're just going to have to continue there with the game as it is. Maybe Sinoni. I'm going to do this. Ryan probably won't be happy, but I'm trying to well, damage limitation while trying to get a goal here. We'll see if that improves their chances. Ah, look, what have I just done there? The manager's touch is back. Um, Robbie Keane with the 2 goal for Dragon Destroyers. He is their main man. Will they be able to take advantage of the extra man right at the end when fitness starts to play a part? They've had a couple of good chances. Will they break through? Robbie Keane is still there. Keane getting the hat trick. Oh, it's been ruled out. It's a VAR situation all over again. Oh, heartbreak for the Dragons, as we all thought they'd won it. Robbie Keane getting his hat trick and then not getting his hat trick. So what a finish to that game. Henry coming on in the second half, scoring the goal. Keane almost winning it for the Dragon Destroyers. We're having a look at the stats here. 5 shots on target for each team. A little bit more of I don't want to say chances or possession, because it seems to be fairly evenly distributed. Bolton Phoenix players definitely failing to get stuck in. They're losing more than 60% of their tackles and a bunch of headers as well. If we look at where the game has been played, that was fairly even for both of the teams. Um, Robbie Keane, unsurprisingly, man of the match. Ryan Giggs, unsurprisingly, getting a couple of assists. We're trying to get Mr. Boyce back on the line.
Hello, mate. I don't know if you can hear me or not.
I hear you perfect.
It seems to be cutting out every now and then, so if it happens again, we'll just sack it, mate.
Yeah, well, you're you're welcome to keep dialing in. I mean, it's no problem for me. You missed a belter there, by the way. I don't know if you
Oh, you're
had
joking.
yeah. 2-2 in the end. Robbie Keane had a goal disallowed with seconds to go. I'll share my screen with you so you can
Yes,
follow
let me
the
have
action.
it. So 2-2 draw with the Dragons. Yeah, I mean at least it's a point in the board for the Dragons. Stops the rot a bit.
Yeah, but wait till you see this. Wait till you see this.
Oh shit.
Keane. So there was 1-1 at halftime.
Yeah,
Keane
yeah.
took them ahead on 60 minutes on the hour mark, got them ahead 2-1. Sebastian Kehl then immediately gets sent off. We'll have a look at the match report. We'll have a look here. So Giggs squared the ball. Keane scored. Keane was coming forward, and he was then kicked by Kehl. So Keane is really,
Hmm.
flying. Got a red card. Then out of nothing, Henry scored. No build up, nothing
Shit,
interesting happened. Henry scored.
that
Uh,
doesn't happen often.
It doesn't happen that often.
No, never
Then
does.
fairly even for 15, 20 minutes. Then we come
Yes.
into the 85th minute, and then this is when it starts going crazy. Yeah, when the minute starts to be long. Where did Keane's disallowed goal go? Oh, this was maybe in the 90th minute. Yeah, there we go. In the 90th minute, Keane scored on the volley. There has a hat trick, but it was ruled out by the lineman's flag. Tomasi was in an offside position. It wasn't even himself.
Oh,
That's a
that's a bit. Yeah, that's a bit of that's a sore one to take for Jamie. That
That
is a
is
sore
heartbreak.
one.
That is heartbreak. I mean, I was even celebrating for him in the studio. Apologies, Ryan, but I kind of was.
I love that in the studio. I
You
love it.
always, you
I
always
love
want
it.
to see the underdogs doing okay, don't you? You know.
You do, and I think Jamie's got a decent looking team there as well. To be honest with you, he's he's the second finest pundit you'll ever get on the show now as well. So you do want to see him do well. I mean, it's the worst team name ever, Dragon Destroyers. I mean, who came up with that?
Probably one of his children.
It
Before you
has to be,
start,
isn't it?
now that you've
There's no way
fired
he came
into
up with
it and
that.
called it shit.
Dragon Destroyers. I mean, that is definitely going to be one of his kids that came up with that. um, for the Phoenix, though, I don't know what they'll be thinking. We're only getting a point away. I think Ryan would have fancied these chances.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they've been on such a good run recently. I mean, of course,
Four wins in a row, wasn't it?
they're keeping their unbeaten record, which is kind
Of
of
course.
good. But you can't have people getting a four. You can't have people actually getting a four. I mean, I know he was up against Robbie Keane, but still,
It's pathetic, isn't it?
outfield
That's
player getting a
and,
four.
and for on with no, sorry, Kel with the five.
Hmm.
I mean, that's half your midfield not performing or not there.
Yeah,
Veron with a six as well. I think with Phoenix, that's them, was it 6 games unbeaten now, unless I'm mistaken.
yeah,
Uh, that's good going in this league. These sort of wee mini runs are definitely good going, and as you say, he didn't win, but he keeps that run going. I think he'll be quite chuffed.
yeah. And I mean, I guess I mean with the draw, that keeps kind of the momentum going. And
A Blue Peter winner picked picked the name Dragon Destroyers. That's fucking brilliant. Sorry, mate. Sorry.
yeah, no, no, no. It's all good. We thrive on the chat interaction, definitely.
It's good patter. Good patter, definitely. But
And
yeah, I think for Bolton they've kept the run going. As for Dragons, it stops the rot, gets them another point in the board.
yeah.
Despite their upset at maybe not getting that last minute uh, winner, the fact that they were in a position they were putting the ball in the back of the net then shows us a wee bit more character maybe about the
Hmm.
squad, and they're on the right track.
Yeah, I mean, if they could just get someone else to score goals. I mean, that's seven now for Robbie Keane. I think they've got like 11 goals in total or
Seven and
something
seven.
maximum. Hmm?
Yeah, 7-7 for Robbie Keane now.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I
But I
mean,
mean, I'll tell you what, he's getting a good tune out of him because he's not one of the more prolific players in the game, is he?
no, definitely not. I mean,
No,
he,
so
he
he's doing
always
well.
seems to be. He always seems to be. He was ridiculous. I mean, in this version, I think where does he start? Theoretically,
Leeds.
um, I think it's an older version of the game where he's at Coventry or Wolves or something like that.
Both.
Weird.
He played for both. He played for both, and then
Uh
he went
huh.
to Inter Milan.
Yeah, 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 and he's like completely ridiculous in one of the previous versions of the game. But this
That's
one,
right.
I mean, he's doing quite well here, and I think, I mean, he won't be happy with the way that he's not gotten 3 points of that game. But the formation is working well. Ndiaye is not having a great day, but everyone else is playing okay.
Yeah.
Giggs is finding his feet at that wing back role, getting 2 assists. Just I would just like to see more goals. You can't have two. I mean, if you count Cisse as well, Cisse's not scored, Viduka's not scored, and Montella scored one. You've got three strikers. They've got
Isn't it?
one goal between them after 11 games. That's the
You're right.
reason why
You're
he's
right.
where he is, not because of playing gigs at fullback or anything else. That is because his three strikers don't score. That's the only reason. So,
Totally. I think Viduka, I would hold out hope for him.
hmm.
Montella, I think they're getting a good deal if they're getting 20 plus million for him. Cisse, I'm not convinced by. They may need to replace Montella with an outside of the box thinker.
Hmm.
I would advocate going for a bargain buy. I'd be looking at someone like Andre Sigporsson at Molde. something like
Yeah,
that.
if he's in there, Scalidis, for example, isn't in the game. I mean, he's not even
No,
in the. You can't even buy him. He's not in the game because we didn't
S-
load the full database. So
right.
there are people who might be there and people who might not be there. But we'll
Yeah,
see.
I
We'll
know what
see.
you
I
mean.
mean, he'll get bro. I think he'll probably get Brosek in. So we'll see what he has to offer. Um, Next up, we're off to sunny Brazil, I think. Oh, I nearly went exit game. That's not what we wanted. we're, we're off to sunny Brazil. I don't know if those of us who watched the Copa Libertadores final that looked like good fun. Hooligans with a lot of injuries. Gamara is out. Campbell, as we know, is out for
Mhm.
the almost a full season. Mendieta is a huge loss. Anelka, who's been happy for weird reasons and even scored a couple of goals. Um, so that's a bit of a blow, but he does have Aymar back, which I think is important. And Ronaldinho, I think, picked up a small injury, but is back to full fitness as well. So
Yeah,
uh,
they're reborn the hooligans, aren't they? I mean, uh, Thiago is he's just a total legend, isn't he? Really,
hmm
one of the real good guys in life, and I think with our team, it's great that he's proactive again about everything. He's whatever was going on in his life, he's over that now, and he's back, being able to put a proper contribution towards his teams in the league, and it's unsurprising to see now he's given it his full attention again, that they're rocking back up that table and sit nicely in fourth.
Yeah, definitely been doing well so far. Most of his goals have come from the midfield though. So if you're looking at Ronaldo, he's only got three
Not
goals, two
convinced
assists,
by
and
him.
750.
Not convinced by him in this game.
Yeah.
Ronaldo for me was, would have scored 50 goals a season in the modern era.
hmm
He was that good. Championship manager for whatever reason didn't do him justice.
Mm. But he's definitely going all in on the attacking players. So yeah, he
Sure.
does have decent defenders, but one thing maybe to look out for is that he is
Uh-huh.
quite stretched in defensive positions with the injuries to Mendieta, to Gamara, and to Sol Campbell. So we've actually got Philip Mexes, who is a sweeper. I mean, his stats are good, but
No.
he'll probably hope that he won't have to use
Yeah,
him.
Mex's is definitely not SL level. I mean, you only need to look at those players missing though, and you could build half a team. What a
Yeah, they
good
would
players
start.
though.
They could start in most teams. I mean, Defoe is still very young in the game, but most of them could do a
Yeah,
job. I think for
yeah.
a lot of teams. So
Kamara's a good player. I like him at the back.
yeah. So but he's been playing. I don't think his stats are so high, but he's been playing in the dreaded central one before. Yeah, where you always get a six if you're lucky. Um,
That's true. That's so true. That's why I never played three at the back. But I had that exact thing.
you need to play sweeper. That's the way to solve that problem.
You're
But
doing well with that, mate. You're doing well with that. No
yeah,
two ways
that
about
brings other problems with it.
it.
Craig is unchanged tactics wise, but his midfield has got a bit of a new look to it. Paul Scholes doesn't come back in after his injury. He's gone with Etu in the
Eh,
central
I like
role
that.
there.
I like it.
I was hoping to see Etu in action. I mean, I know he's quite young in the game. His stats are maybe not the most impressive
Oh,
already,
he's shit hot.
but
He's shit hot.
he is one to watch for
No,
definite.
he'll smash it. Eto, get him playing ahead of Paul Scholes every day of the week.
hmm
Uh, but again, the game perhaps doesn't do justice to Paul Scholes, or maybe that is what they thought of him at the time. But Eto definitely I think could be huge. He was a revelation when Swindon got the best out of him in that
hmm
final season. He really was, and he'd never really been given a chance before that, if my memory serves me correctly. I would be getting him in that team now, um, ahead of Paul Scholes every day of the week. I'm really, really looking forward to seeing him play.
And we've got Lundberg, who I have no idea, but he's got a good tune out of him, 7.5 or 7.5 average. Sean Davies, 7.25, perhaps less so,
He'll
but
come good.
he's done what he's could with the squad that he has. I mean, there's a lot of talk about whether even Helguera was really, at this level. Southgate. I mean, there's a lot of these players that you wouldn't necessarily pick, but he also has players that you absolutely would. I mean, why would you not have Tsigalko and Batistuta up front, especially in season one when Batistuta is still pretty much unstoppable?
That's
Um,
quite funny because if my memory serves me correct, and someone can correct me in the comment section if they want, but I think Batistuta and Sigalko were the strike partnership for Rocket Sloth season one. Believe
well,
it or
that was
not.
before my time, but
Yeah, the same two players though. Like the first season, I'm sure of it. I'm
yeah.
sure of it, and you're totally right. I mean, you look at those two as a partnership, and you think, "Fucking hell, that has got to be."
I mean,
That's got to be the most
Tsigalko has got
fierce.
Sigalko's got 6 and 8, and Batistuta's got 9 and 10. I mean,
Wow.
they're doing okay, to be
No,
honest.
that's amazing. No, that's amazing. And I think if he can get Sigalko going the way that we all know Sigalko can go, early, then Hoddesdon could be, almost impossible
Mm,
to deal with over the course of seasons because Sigalko, if you can get him firing early on in his career, I mean, he'll not stop. He never goes back. Do you know what I mean? You never have like Sigalko scoring 30 goals, then a season where he
hmm
only scores 10.
hmm
Like, if you can get the ball rolling with him quickly, he will smash it for them, man.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll see if they are going to be doing any smashing this evening in out in Brazil. So we'll kick this one off, and we'll see what if Hooligans can replicate the success of Flamengo in the Copa
Tough one to call
Libertadores
this.
final. But
Totally, mate. Flamengo, yeah.
but a tough game. Although Huddersfield did concede a ton of goals last week against Arsenal, but we'll see how they go in
We'll see how the
Brazil.
hangover is, yeah, definitely from that, and Craig's hangover just in general. Um, but yeah, I think this is one of the hardest games to call of the night.
Oh, that was an early injury for Aymar. I mean, they've got so many injuries now. Kennedy comes in as he has done
Come on, Joe, okay,
before. That's a tough one for Hooligans.
but
But
they
there's
score,
Ronaldo.
but they score.
I mean, the strikers in this game: Ronaldo, Batistuta, Tsigalko. Oh, Kennedy with the goal as well. The wheels are coming
Well,
off the Hornets. Well,
there's
they were.
as soon as you speak too soon, mate, you know the rules. But yeah, I
That
mean,
is true.
bit concerning for the Hoddesdon conceding goals that early. I mean, we're only 26 minutes in. They've conceded 7 goals in 116 minutes of football. I mean, that's not good.
No, it's not
Um,
ideal.
and
We
Bakayoko in that role, I mean, you must admit when you put him there, you didn't like the look of it. No, like, in midfield, left, centre, it doesn't
well,
seem to sit right with for Bakayoko, but
I mean,
um,
I don't like these I mean, I struggle to get two central midfield, two MCs. Even that is not great for me, and I struggle to get
mhm.
any of them playing well. But we'll, I've put Paul Scholes on, so the people in chat can keep an eye out for Scholes, how he's doing. I saw there were some comments on that in the chat whether
Yeah,
Scholes was any good or not. I mean, there's
there's Eto
Eto
scored.
scoring on,
That doesn't surprise me in the slightest.
and it's his debut. That's 10 games that Hornets have played without Eto. I mean, that's maybe
He may have just found, he may have just seen the future now for him. You know what I mean? Because Eto, honestly, I think he'll smash it for Hodgson if they keep playing him. So my advice to Craig would be
to
make
keep him
sure
in
he
there.
becomes a mainstay. Yeah.
Yeah.
As for Hooligans, 2 goals up to 2-2 at half time. Really disappointing for Thiago.
Yeah, I mean they're
Um,
struggling a little bit on the maybe on the keeper front. I don't think they've been doing super well. Kiotis and Close. I think has Close played. I can't remember. Yeah, he did, and he didn't do particularly well. Kiotis, no,
yeah. So, I mean, with regards
6.89
to
average.
Kiotis, as you call him, I've always called him Sheatus. So, I mean, let's call him Kiotis. That sounds a bit better.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he is someone that gets good, I think, season 2 or 3. First season, he's never impressive.
Mm,
Never. He's just one of the big names, you know what I mean, or
yeah.
one of the legends that you're drawn to play in because you know how good he can become.
hmm Yeah, and I mean it's good news for Craig that he's up against him because that's given him 2 goals on his 4 shots. Perhaps not as many shots. We've seen that. I feel like we've seen that in the Super League this season. The amount of shots on target, unless it's like a complete hammering, then most of the games are sort of fairly even, sort of 5 or 6 shots on target. It's not as attacking as it's not as there's not as many open chances. I think in the previous season when I was there were more shots,
Yeah.
but relatively the same amount of goals. So I'm not sure what if people are countering each other or copying too much of each other's tactics. But
Well, I hear what you're saying, but I mean, you've got to back that up. But remembering that in that last season, I think there was I did a wee sort of feature on it. I was talking about it one time, and we looked at all the goalies of each club, and I
yeah, yeah,
think it
yeah,
was
they were
five
insane.
of
They
them
were all insane. You're
over
right.
an average rating of 8.
Yeah, they were
Five
all
of the
insane.
14 keepers had an so that kind of does explain why there was less goals. But yeah, you're right. There did seem more
Yeah,
shots.
yeah. Either way, we've got Eto at halftime with an assist and a goal, so he's got to be happy with that so far. Scholes has come on and got a 7, despite almost not touching the ball, but that's fine. Not a lot of possession for Hornets, you would say in the first half here.
Fuck all. Fuck all. I'm amazed they got back to 2-2. I thought they were going to crumble when they went 2-0 down, so fair play to them.
Yeah, fair
I
play to
thought
them,
but
definitely.
Thiago, I mean, Thiago's someone I regard as a good friend of mine. Um, off the pitch as well. I'm in touch with him quite a lot. He's a bit of a fucking legend to me. I would
Hmm.
like to see him finish top six this year and see what he can do in the playoffs.
Yeah.
He can't afford to be dropping 2 goal leads too often.
No, no, you couldn't. But we'll see if if things improve for him in the second. They
Now
don't
it's
improve for him in the
swung.
second half. No.
Now it's swung. Wow.
I
And
mean,
fair,
he's still in it. There's still plenty of white
of
and black on
course,
the screen, but
of course. But I mean, what a turnaround for Hoddesdon when you're 2-0 down away from home. Now it's 3-3.
now it's 3-3 with Ronaldinho
This is what
getting
we're
that goal.
wanting, man. This is what we're looking for. This is the Super League, man.
This
You
is
know what I
the
mean?
action and
Now
Emerton getting a goal as well.
He's
I
topsy
mean,
turvy. There's plenty of time.
yeah, yeah,
Plenty of
yeah.
time.
It could still go. I mean, perhaps not either way, but Hornets could maybe still get a draw. It doesn't
You
look like
never
it though.
know. Don't speak too soon, mate.
It is Batistuta and Sigalko.
You felt they were going to do it there. You felt you were going to do it.
Yeah, a
Eh,
couple of big chances for either side right at the end, picking up on the shots on target in the second half as well. 8 for Hornets and 7 for Hooligans. So it looks as if Landreau has had another kind of shitty game. Yeah, he has. Yeah, 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 yeah. Terrible.
I,
He was a
uh,
4 last week out. He still picked him again. If my keeper got a 4, he would not be playing the next match. I don't
no,
care if
I
I
would
had to
agree with
like
that. I would
get
agree.
someone from the youth team in. If you get a 4, you don't play the next game.
I would say Bosnich isn't a bad replacement. I think Bosnich is actually quite good in this.
I mean, it stats wise, yeah,
He is.
he's better than Landreau, but yeah.
Londro is someone that Hoddesdon signed last time round for season 3 and 4,
Hmm.
and he did do really well. But remember, he's only 20 years old right now. For a goalkeeper, that is young.
22 though.
22,
22.
sorry, but I
Uh-huh.
mean, he is young though for a goalkeeper. You know what I
Yeah, yeah,
mean?
yeah. True.
Um, I don't know. Maybe he's another one of those players that gets better come season 3 or 4. But yeah, I mean, just looking at the comments there as well, great game. I mean, it really was.
Hmm.
That is in the true spirit of the Super League. I think Hoddesdon now though will be feeling like it was an opportunity slipped
Hmm.
from looking like underdogs coming back into it. I actually think now they had the lead at 3-2. They'll be now feeling like hooligans were at half time. A
Yeah.
bit like they let that they blew it a bit. Fair play to them for coming back though. I mean, away from home, with an injury, they 2-0 down. They did well today.
Yeah,
Just
definitely.
hooligans. It was a slobber knocker, wasn't it? It was just two teams going at it, and hooligans came out on top.
Kevin Keegan football all the way.
And
Etu coming back in here with 2 assists and a goal.
if he loses his place, then it'd be absolute suicide on Craig's part. You know what I
So
mean?
we should expect to see more of Samuel Etu in the
Defo.
near future.
I
Uh,
recommend that massively.
yeah, Elba did well. Ronaldinho with an assist and a goal. He's been the player of the season for Hooligans so far. Kiotis in goal, not doing particularly well.
No, I
But
mean
I mean overall.
Ronaldinho and Beckham were hooligans' main two in their first season.
Mhm.
Last time out, I know I keep going back to it, but it's just referencing
Mhm.
the players. I mean, they got to the playoff stage in the first season, and if my memory serves me, Ronaldinho and Beckham were his two sort of key men. It's
Mhm.
interesting that they both ended up back working under him again in the revamp, um, with two Brazilian strikers as well, Ronaldo and Elba, a Brazilian midfielder, Elias. You can see the theme that he's going for,
Yeah,
can't you?
there's definite there's a definite theme here, but Ronaldinho has been ridiculous. I mean, that's him on what is that his first assist? Surprisingly, that's his first assist, but that's
I
six
agree.
goals. So,
Six, yes, and that's from the midfield role. You've then
hmm,
got Elba, who will definitely score goals. He will
yeah,
definitely, if he gets more of a chance, he will do the business. I take it there was a striker missing today for Hooligans.
yeah, Anelka. He normally plays Anelka.
Oh, instead of Elba.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm
But
going to get in touch then. I
apparently,
need to get in touch with him. I was speaking to him last night for ages. I need to get in touch with him and get
yeah.
him told that, yeah, Elba before an Elka defo, in my opinion.
But we'll see. We'll see. Anelka obviously injured for. He has played 9, but I think he's out injured now. But we'll see, and we'll obviously see 59. No, it looks as if it's not a serious injury, and the same for Sean. Yeah, nothing too serious for the for
Yeah.
the for the two injured
Brilliant win
players.
for Hooligans, though. Well done.
Yeah, I mean, good result for them. They'll and Thiago will be delighted. I mean, that'll take him, really towards the top of the table and to where he hopes to be at the end of the season after all the stick we gave him for the tactic early on.
And with
Right.
regards to, I mean, with regards to Hodgson, just quickly, just to touch on it, I mean, if ever there was a team you don't get too concerned about because they've lost 2 games in a row, it's them.
hmm I mean,
You,
they're still
there's no
second.
long-term worries about them at all. Craig's a shrewd operator. He's a top lad, and they'll do all right.
Mm-hmm. True. Um, Now we've got the home side of the season so far. Midlothian Football Club coming up against Chudley Cannons. Um, what do you make of this tactic? That's again a slightly unusual one we've
Yeah,
not
that's
one we're not
unique.
used to.
It's taken a bit of inspiration from tactics that have worked well
hmm
in the league, and then put his own twist on it, which I'm all for. I think that's brilliant. He's got Neil Scally in the middle, so I am now part of the Midlothian Neil Scally SC supporters club. Um, he's got Impenza up front, which we all know how deadly he can be. At home, they've got an emphatic record. If I mean, if it was to come to an end tonight, then he's got a lot more problems than he first thought. Because if we can pin it to being away games, he needs to tweak the tactics. At home, keep doing the same. Fair enough. But if
hmm
he starts slipping up at home as well, then he's maybe going to need to look at the tactic, and maybe it's a bit too bizarre. But at this moment in time, he should be full of confidence at home.
Yeah, I mean it's certainly been good for him. I think we've
I'm
looked
not
at
sure
it and
about
it was
Eric Addo at left wing back.
yeah. He's yeah. I think Eric Addo has only had one bad game so far this season, and that's when he played him in the middle. So yeah, he's doing it, and he's left-footed, and he's quick. So why not?
I can think of loads of reasons why not.
Yeah, I mean he
It's
does. I think he does have Roberto Carlos coming in. I don't particularly think Roberto Carlos does that well in the game, but he does have him coming in to presumably to cover that left back position. I think he played Rafael van der Vaart down there, maybe but not so successfully. But yeah,
mm,
he's tried a few different solutions.
sure.
But he's up against a tough opponent here tonight. Similar tactic to or the same tactic as we've seen from a couple of other managers today, but he's got a couple of arrows on it compared to Kieran, so we'll see how that works out. Cannons are firing again after a bit of a slump. They've got Mark Kerr back, which is probably one of the main reasons for it. He was out for a while and they lost that kind
Would
of
be.
pivot point in the midfield. How important do you think that is, that if you play with one central midfielder, he really has to perform, hasn't he?
I definitely am not convinced by Mark Kerr's SL qualities at all. But you're absolutely right. It's a difficult role, the midfield centre one, to get that. But to get that right and get the right player in there, because obviously, as you say, there is a lot of responsibility on them
hmm
um, when they play there. I'm not sure Mark Kerr at 19 or 20, whatever age he is, the new, is the answer. He's a bit of a false myth, Mark Kerr, for me. I've never, like, I've had 8 goals off him maybe in a season, 7 assists, but he's never been a world beater. I
Yeah,
think it's just purely based on price. Like,
yeah.
he's 900 grand and his attributes look great, that he's a world beater,
People
but
pick him up. Yeah. I mean, it's, we'll see. I don't think his ratings have been that great so far. I mean, 5 games, 2 goals, and a seven. But the team have performed a lot better when he's been playing.
have they? I mean,
Obviously,
well,
another
I mean,
key
they're
man
the
for
most
them is
average team I've ever seen in my life. You know what I mean? He's an average manager. He's the most overhyped, over talked up manager in the history of the Super League. And it's not actually just him. It's not really. At first, he was kindly talked up himself, but I've listened to your broadcasts, and I've got to be honest to you. It's actually the other managers that talk, blow smoke up this boy's ass and talk about him all against a master tactician.
Yeah, well,
So
that's obviously if that's
it's
their
not a messiah.
opinions, then
Yeah, I
that's
don't know where it
that's
comes from.
that has to be that has to be on them. If it proves to be so at the end of the season, then perhaps. But I mean, so far they're kind of mid-table-ish, but I'm sure
I
things
think I
will
think that
pick
the
up.
the defensive midfielders have been working on a low block formation as well. Hopefully, he gets that pun. I've noticed he's quite quiet in the comments tonight, though, so I dare say he's still hiding under his bed now. You know what I mean?
Well, he's probably looking forward to seeing if Rossini can get some goals for him. He's been key. Rossini was not in the Super League last time round. Is that right? I think that was mentioned a couple of times.
Uh, I mean, Rossini's someone that definitely you'll get joy out of. I think Rossini is one of those players that's quite refreshing to see in the league, because he wasn't in it before. I definitely think he's one of his favourite players, and that, you know what I mean. But
Hmm.
hopefully he has a five tonight.
Yeah, we'll see what comes out of Rossini tonight. And if for those who watch the again the Copa Libertadores final, I know I've mentioned a couple of times. If you recognize this fella, he's the chubby wee guy who was the manager of River Plate.
Ironic.
So yeah, I mean, he definitely doesn't have a 19 acceleration anymore,
No, I
but
bet he don't.
and the agility probably not so as well. I forgot to ask you at the beginning of the Hools Hornets game, so I'll ask you at the beginning of this one. Result for you, Midlothian going to keep their home form intact.
Oh, easy, man. Easy.
We'll certainly we'll kick it off and we'll see if they can continue that.
I
Surprised
don't
that
like those club colours either. What's that grey and orange? That is horrendous.
and that's
1-0
Kessman
already.
and
There's
Ramal.
two of
Well,
them.
it's
It's just no surprise, this. I mean, everyone needs to just clamber back out his arse, you know? Um, I mean, I think his last 19 games in the league. I think he's won, what, eight of them, seven of them. If you can include his final 9 games it was the first 9 games of the final season of the last Super League. He'd only won three of them. This season, he's won what 2 out of 10, or sorry, 4 out of 10. This is not, the messiah that people speak of. You know what I mean? The Midlothian are absolutely pumping them.
Well, they've managed to score a goal, which was what only Crespo had managed so far. It looks as if it's another keeper scenario. Three goals from 5 shots on target. I don't think anyone can be happy with that. It's Sander Westerveld who's not living up to expectations. Quite surprisingly, Kutuzov not doing it either really so far in
I
the
think he's still just slightly too young. I get why he's playing him, in fairness. But
Kutuzov.
yeah,
I mean, yeah.
because those stats actually develop still a lot better than what you're seeing there. I mean,
Hmm.
obviously the finishing doesn't get higher than a 20
Hmm.
for anyone trying to point that out. But the rest of his attributes can still develop further. And I think Kutuzov is one to be, obviously he's kind of doing it the right way. He's only played 5 of the 10 games so far,
Hmm.
which is probably dropping him in now and then. Get his stats developing. I think maybe next season for Kutuzov. Rossini, obviously, a lot of hopes pinned on him, and understandably so. I am amazed that Vesterveld starts ahead of Sebastian Frey, though. Despite me saying about Londro being too young, um, Frey is actually a year younger than him, but he's top quality goalie, and I would be
Yeah.
playing him. I would
I
be
think
playing
it's
him.
based on the performances. I mean, Frey, he obviously
Sure,
gave Frey a chance, and he conceded
sure,
7 and 2, and Westerveld
sure.
has got 5 and 8. So,
Well, yeah,
um,
it's a no-brainer when you look at those statistics. I wasn't totally brushed up on them.
yeah, but
Um,
and Steve Finnan doing exceptionally well, 788 average. I mean, I slag
he's a
Steve
class
Finnan
player.
like I slag Neil
Did
Scally,
you?
but just shows
Did
what I
you?
know.
No, Finnan's a dark horse in the game. Definitely, I'm not surprised to see him getting used by the crayons at all.
Yeah, to be honest, there's a lot of these players. I mean, Dennis Romandal I also don't rate, but there we go.
He
It's
fits he fits that formation though, Romadal. I think he fits it nicely.
mhm. What do you think of Impenza getting a 6?
It won't last long. He'll be next in the scoring act.
He's got 5 and 7 so far,
Yeah, I mean,
so maybe
you would be putting money, heavy money, on Impenza scoring second half.
score in the second half. Let's kick it off and see what Midlothian can bring to the table in the second half. If they can keep the dominant,
And you cleverly didn't mention the eight sitting beside Neil Scally's name as well,
I've,
Martin. I
I've,
like that,
I've,
mate.
I've had no idea. I had literally no idea. Oh yeah, he did get an 8. I hadn't even
Oh
noticed
yeah.
that. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Let's see what happens
Let's
in the
not open
second
that
half.
can of worms, mate.
Let's see what happens.
There's a
Oh,
massive
it's really not
score.
going well for Westerveld today.
Oh, it is absolutely priceless. There's
And here
Impenza.
comes Impensa.
See if there's one thing that's not changed, mate. I still write the scripts. I'm telling you, man. 6-1. I told you it'd be a pumping.
This is probably what people have kind of maybe not. I say that every week. Oh, this is a good team coming to Midlothian. This is a good team coming to Midlothian. Maybe they can get a result. When I look at the fixtures, but
Such a good team coming to Midlothian. They sit 10th in the league. It's like, how can that be so good?
no, I meant in in general. every time, every week, I say, oh, maybe this time
Oh,
will be
got
the
you,
week.
got you, got you.
But yeah, definitely. I was
That's a
thinking maybe
loyal
they can
fan.
get a result, maybe, but you know,
I tell
uh,
you what, you're for it tonight on the DMs, mate. You'll be getting asked to send screenshots of every single player instruction, and it'll be your fault that this has happened, not his. Trust me. You
well,
don't
we've
take the
got
blame.
Sander Westerveld with a 4, so and Kutuzov with a 4. So I'm not,
It's disastrous. It's bizarre.
yeah,
I
I'm not sure.
expected Midlothian to win, right? Their record at home is obviously absolutely outstanding. All the
Yeah,
banter
yeah, yeah.
aside,
But
I
still, I
think
mean,
I
6-1.
think the Crayons would have wanted to have got certainly. They probably didn't expect to win at Midlothian, looking at the record, but
At
maybe
least a
sneak a
draw,
draw. Yeah, sneak a draw, or even if you're going to get beat, lose with a bit of, a bit of a, I
a
don't know,
bit
a
of a
fight.
fighting performance.
Yeah, with this,
I'm sure they're unchanged. I mean, I'm sure that because I was
you better
thinking.
be.
I'm thinking if there's anything that I could have done different or done wrong or
Oh,
anything, but I'm
you'll soon know. You'll soon know.
fairly certain it's unchanged since last week. So,
But
but
well
we'll
played,
see.
Midlothian. Let's focus on the positives. And I think, you've got five different scorers there, 6 goals scored. The only team with a 100% record at home. You've got Neil Scally playing out his skin under his former manager, watching from the stands. You've got Ramelow putting in tens
I was
further
going to
time.
say, Carsten, what odds do you get on Carsten Ramelow being man of the match in
Unbelievable.
any Super League game ever?
Unbelievable. And Penza scored in the second half, like I said he would. I think the double for Harry Kuehl was a wee bit of a surprise as well.
Hmm.
Um, but it's a strong squad. Midlothian, seriously, now this is what I was touching on earlier, Martin. Right now, because of that result, and now you must admit you'd probably be the same. You're inclined to then, if your next game's away from home, stick with the same because you won 6-1 last time out.
Hmm.
But obviously, if you've lost all your other away games, he maybe is going to need to consider tweaking it.
Decent chance he'll get pumped away from home as usual.
Yeah, and then, but again,
Just as a decent chance he'll win 3 or 4-0 in the next home
yeah,
game. So,
and
but
that's where almost the problem lies because the temptation to keep the formation the same is going to be overwhelming when you've won 6-1 out.
hmm
Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
So it's like
absolutely.
changing that almost doesn't make sense. But you have to look at the record away from home. It's 5 defeats in a row.
Hmm.
I think he needs to slightly tweak it, but maybe keep the personnel the same if possible all over the pitch because
Yeah,
that is one
and
heck of when you're scoring 6 goals in the Super League, whether it's against a Diddy team like them or a good team, trust me, you've done well. And 6 goals in this league is not good.
I think it's only the second time this season. I think Alf scored 6 in the first game against Hooligans, who got Saul Campbell in. They sent off, or something terrible happened, and the defense just completely fell apart. I think that was the only one that we've had 6
Mm.
so far this season. So so definitely something to celebrate for Midlothian, and I think anyone going to the Iron Brew Arena in the future will probably be a little bit concerned about what's going to happen to them because he's really got that side firing. And it's not a
Totally, mate.
morale. They keep losing away, but when
Yep.
they come back home, they just
Hmm.
roll over everyone. Swindon
Yeah,
Devils seem to think they're next. I think they could be right, but
Sloths and Devils, is it?
we've got next up tonight. We've got Sloss and Devils. So so that's another one for that's your concern now. If you don't worry about your trip to Midlothian.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, let's get this one out the road, mate. First, I mean, let's be honest. I've got to say, Sloth are the team I know the least about in the league.
Hmm.
Although I did watch a very comical video that I think his name's Rob.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He did. He
Rob
did
does
a
some good videos. Yeah,
He did a bit. I'm
definitely.
going to need to follow him. I think I've not. Do you know that way? I presume I'm following them because I still think I'm the Super League page.
True.
So it's like if I've clicked on, do you know what I mean? Like I forget it's my personal page. I need to actually actively go out my way to follow them. But
Uh-huh.
he did an extremely funny video in the car right at the start of the season, if I remember correctly, and I took a bit of a shine to him.
Uh-huh.
Um, I don't know if he's carried on that persona in his team lineups and his transfers. That's my concern for the big man. That maybe it is all just a wee bit
I
too
think
much fun.
I think the first couple of games not so much fun, but I mean, he probably wasn't putting the thought, and I won't say effort because he did put the effort in, but probably the thought into the formations and the selections in the beginning of the season. His last, I would say, 4 or 5 games have been
Huh?
much better.
Have they?
This tactic, which I've never seen before, to be honest, is working relatively well. I mean, player selection is a little bit odd at times,
Yeah, Damien Duff. I mean, you were talking about him in the last broadcast, and, and quite fucking right. You know what I mean?
it was a team of the week. He did amazingly well
Yeah,
last time out. Yeah,
I know, but you would not expect. I think it was his first appearance of the season. Yeah,
yeah,
um, you wouldn't expect him to be able to handle it at this level, but
not at
fair
all.
play if he is. Jorgensen on the right, I'm interested by. Mads Jorgensen is very much the 99 to 2000, icon for me.
Hmm.
He was the player I knew first about when I was like 12 years old, and he was like my hero in the game. You know what I mean? Was
Hmm.
getting Matt Jorgensen. And 0102, is he as good? No,
No, no,
he's
not at all.
he's not. And is he good enough to be on that right side on his own? The answer is no
No,
as well.
no. You could play
Um,
Brosek out there. You could play anyone out there, I think. But I mean,
any team
or
with
even
Crespo on
Balak.
the bench needs needs to rethink, man, because Crespo, even if he does go a few games, let's say he goes a few games without scoring a goal,
Hmm.
he will come good.
Hmm.
It is an absolute guarantee. He will over time and average out his games to goals ratio, and it will be one of the best in the league come the end of the season. So I am amazed that Vieira gets the nod if he's insisting on only playing. Um,
Yeah, I think that's what he's going with at the moment. Is the one striker formation, and then with Rivaldo, who's been doing quite well behind him. So that's what he's going with. Swindon got the first win of the season last week, and he seems to have found a tactic which kind of works, I guess. Um,
Swindon. I mean, they were one of my favourite teams to take a pop at in the first couple of seasons, and then I suppose I was slightly conflicted with being chairman and manager that I didn't want to go over the top on anyone as a boss when you're also the chairman. You know what I mean? You need to stay relatively neutral, and that was
mhm,
ultimately what made me sort of withdraw in the end from it altogether. But Swindon was someone I used to call out left, right, and centre in the first couple of seasons when Alan still ran it, and
mhm.
my biggest issue with him, and I think he still does it to an extent, perhaps not today, is playing players out of position. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, Martin, but surely you've seen questionable player locations. You know what I mean? Like, why are you playing him there? Or he used to do Cambiasso as a left back regularly, if my memory serves me correct. And there was other ones as well that just didn't sit well, mate. You know
Yeah,
what I
I
mean?
mean, there's a few decisions that maybe I mean, I don't know. I would if I
Not in a
had
bad
this.
way, but I was like, it would be, sometimes you're going, I would never have thought of that.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
And
I
not in
mean,
a good way.
there's thinking out of the box, and then there's like just uh, yeah, taking chances for the sake of it. But it's also difficult if you start off on a bad run. I mean, I remember it
I've
myself
just
managing the
spied it.
Sloth side last
Yeah,
season.
yeah,
You come
fair.
you get a bad run, you lose 2 in a row, 3 in a row, 4 in a row. You try to maybe pick a tactic that one of the winning teams is using, and then you lose with that as well, and then you kind of descend into madness and you start playing Clive at attacking midfielder when you've got Dyslow on the bench and
Yeah,
Huntelaar up front,
yeah. Now
and
see,
everything starts going
Clive
like
your MC. And
yeah.
that's the issue. And I mean, I've got to say, I mean, obviously, I'm keeping one eye on the comments as well whilst we're doing this brilliant broadcast, Martin. And Swindon's rewriting history a wee bit. He's trying to say Cambiasso averaged an 8.5 when he played at left back. I mean, that is utter nonsense. If Cambiasso was averaging an 8.5, I would remember that for the rest of my life.
Cambiasso has never averaged 8.5 anywhere, I don't
8.5
think.
would
If he
come
played 2 games, let's say he played 2 games and he got
eight and
um
nine.
like got 8 and a 9 in those two, then maybe he
He's
would have averaged
He's
8.5
played
after
more
those two
games at left
games.
back than two, mate. And trust me, that is rewrite that is revisionism of history, Swindon. You are getting called out on that, my friend.
We'll
um,
see. We'll see.
this
We'll
is a
see what
tough one.
the how
This
do you
is
see this one going?
I think looking at the two teams, um, I think Somerset's Sloth's going to win. I'm being honest, and I don't say that with any glee. I don't know Sloth, so my loyalty would probably more swing to Swindon, and not in a disrespectful way, just
Hmm.
purely because I know Fifey very well, so I would probably prefer to see them win. If I let my head rule my heart, I think Sloths will probably nick this. And Fifey now saying that he was his best player is slightly different from saying Cambiasso got an 8.5.
Well,
Let's see how this
we've kicked it off,
develops.
and we'll see what we'll see if Sloths manage to actually get a win and hold on to it this time, which has been they've been ahead a couple of times this season already, and then thrown it away or lost it somehow in the second half. I think they were 3-0. Oh, there's
There's a
Balak
goal.
with a goal from that odd position, and there's Christian Vieri.
They concede so many goals, Swindon. I don't know what his player instructions are. Oh, good. Sindelar
Oh,
scored 2-1, and an injury for Jorgensen.
we'll see if
That makes things
see
interesting,
if the
though.
crossing is 10.
Yeah,
He's
Broziek I would put on the right
either
because
footed. I
he's
think
Rob's right.
I was gonna say I'm gonna put Broadcheck out there just
Yes,
because I
no, that's
like
the right
him.
thing to do. That's the right thing to do, therefore.
I think so. I mean, you could even swap Balak and Broadcheck to be honest. Um,
He's a left centre, isn't he?
oh, he's left. Yeah, I thought he was right. Either way, we'll go
I
with
think
this.
Broziek's okay there, no, therefore.
We'll see. We'll see
But
what he if
two
he
one,
comes up with the goods in the
2-1.
second half. That's Huntelaar scoring again. I keep going. You can't play Huntelaar, Stephen. Please don't play Huntelaar, and he scores. So
Really?
that's
Why? What? Oh, there's Damien Duff at it
Damien
again.
Duff again.
I've never got a tune out of Damien Duff.
Because you've never played him you've never played this formation before.
No, I've not, but I did have him in the exact same. I actually signed him for that Juventus save I'm doing just now,
Yeah,
because he was available for 2 million quid. I just thought, oh, fuck it, I'll just do it as a backup.
yeah.
Gave him 15 games. He averaged a 7.1. I think he got 2 assists in 15 games. I was like, oh fuck you, just wait the reserves, mate. But yeah, but fair play to Rob. He's getting a proper, decent return from him in his
And
first couple of games.
Rivaldo getting 3 assists, his first 3 assists of the season so far. Low cross into the box, and Huntelaar running away with it there. Rivaldo took the free kick into Damien Duff with a header. Okay, okay, Championship manager. We'll
Uh,
leave it at that, shall we?
what's your beef for Huntelaar then?
Sorry,
What's your sort of issue with the
he's
Huntelaar?
he's 12 years old and his stats are shit.
Is his stats quite shit? Let me have a quick nosy.
This is how terrible he is because he's not
How's it?
even known enough in the game. So if I'm not logged in as Fifey, I can't even see his stats because he's
Okay.
that unknown.
Wow.
Yeah. So we'll do
Huntelaar's in it. Huntelaar's a left field option up front. You know what I mean? He's like, I don't mean left sided. I mean, he's an unusual option, and I think it's quite a refreshing move, and I think Huntelaar could be that gem. I can't not believe he is selling Roberto Carlos and yet playing him ahead of Roberto.
I mean,
Can you get your head around that?
who's to say? Who's to say? We'll see. Say Roberto's getting his chance now. He's coming on for Emre on that midfielder there because Emre
He
was
said
playing
he's
a
selling
five.
Carlos, is he not?
Sorry.
He's selling Roberto Carlos.
Yeah. Well,
So
that's
why would
that's
you be playing him?
that,
Is that
yeah.
it?
I don't
Is
I
that?
don't make the rules.
Oh, I don't mean you, mate. I just mean in general. Like, what would you? You wouldn't do that, would you? If you're
Yeah.
selling him, then you want to keep playing Roberto and persevere with that. You
Yeah.
don't
I
play
mean,
someone you've committed to selling. Fuck that.
yeah, you would have thought so, but I mean, Swindon could still turn it all around. We had some instructions for him to put the Kluivert up front and to replace anyone scoring a five, so that's what we've
Fair,
did.
fair.
Somerset Sloths, as mentioned, Rivaldo's got three
Um,
assists, done quite well. Um,
their ratings. They look tasty. Average ratings though for
for a
match
first
day. Sorry,
half, I
for the
mean,
first half. Yeah,
that's pretty good.
I think this is going to end up 5-1.
We'll see. We'll see. Or we'll see if the changes that Devils made. I mean, that would be.
Of course, and I like the fact he does those tweaks. Fifey. I like the fact he preempts he will have a player getting a five at half time.
Yeah, you could look at it that way, I guess. I mean, they've had, on the look of it, they've had more of the chances in this, more of the game in the second half. They've been a little bit better in the second half, but without proper threatening, obviously.
I mean, I'll tell you right now, Swindon's definitely losing this game. Oh, there's a red card as well. Um, I mean, it's saying here in the comments that both Carlos and Zeroberto he's getting rid of. I mean, what planet is this guy on? Zeroberto he can be the best player in the league if you get if you can get him playing right. And I don't understand.
I've not heard the Sir Roberto thing, but
Yeah, I've just seen. Look at the comments there. That's the only place I've got it from.
all right, okay, well maybe, yeah,
He's
well,
saying he's selling him for to getting a key defender. You need to score goals, mate. I suppose he does need a defender because that's now 36 goals in 11 games, Martin.
yeah, and
Uh,
that was Wayne. I mean, it was a second yellow. I mean, I can see that they say Wayne Oldham. This is the referee we mentioned before, sending off someone. That's hardly a
I'm not
surprise,
quite
but
sure.
second yellow. I think it was a second yellow.
Yep.
Went in hard on Rivaldo was yeah second yellow, so that'll be fine. Although in Australia it doesn't matter how you get a red card, it's one match ban regardless. We had someone punching someone, and that's just a one match, so it was fine. Um, Sloss will be happy with this, won't they?
I thought
I
it was
mean,
comfortable, mate. I thought it was comfortable. Never in doubt from the moment they got their first goal. Not enough questions asked of them, and as much as there was 6 efforts on target, I think Swindon's at a level now they're needing to get 10 shots on target to maybe, to hope to get more than one goal. And they certainly cannot afford to concede eight shots on target because they are leaking them.
hmm
Um, left, right, and centre. I don't. He's in big trouble. He's in big trouble. I mean, 36 goals conceded in 11 games is
a lot.
not even it's bottom of the league form. There is no two ways. That needs arrested massively, and the only way he can do that is drastically change his formation or get his player instructions sorted. There must be, and I've got inclinations because I've been in your position before, Martin. I've got inclinations as to what some of his player instructions are. I would not divulge on air, of course, but they are questionable at times.
Well, I can't obviously comment on
Yeah, you're the
the
same as me.
individual player instructions
But
or
they are they
tactics.
are they are
But if you're bottom
questionable.
of the league and you've conceded 36 goals, then
Something's
it's
wrong with
not
it.
because you're doing exceptionally well with your tactics and your player selection.
Mm,
You don't need the chairman or anyone else to tell you that.
of
Stephen's
course,
probably fully aware of that himself. And as you
I hope
mentioned,
so.
poor
I
first
hope
half
so.
kind of did it for us. I mean, improvement with the tactics in the second half. I mean, just getting Kluivert up front and actually getting him some action was probably a good idea. But yeah, there's room for improvement. I mean, that's a positive I guess he can take for it. But that's a lot of poor results. So and as you mentioned, he changed it every week, got slated, so he kept the same and he gets slated. Yeah, I
No,
mean,
well, I suppose that's fair. I mean, I am definitely looking at it from a fresh viewpoint as opposed to, on the back of any other slatings he's had in the previous weeks. I must admit. But yeah,
but you can also look at it this way: if you
yep.
continue to lose your games, it doesn't really. We're not. No one is slating Fifey because of his personality or his communication or his contribution, or no one is slating anything. They're slating the fact that Swindon Devils are losing their games, regardless of the reasons. Yeah, you're always going to slate the team that good looks like they're sitting at the bottom. I mean, Valen, who we're going to see next, could be doing ever so well or poorly or whatever. If they're top of the table, the manager's going to get credit, isn't it? If they're bottom of the table, the
Hear you.
manager's going to get stick. That's
I hear you,
unfortunately.
mate. No, I hear you. I hear you. And Mr. Fife spent far too long of his career at the wrong end of the table. For the revamp. I mean, really, that should be benefiting the likes of him. A fresh
Hmm.
start.
Fresh start, fresh
Unfortunately,
squad. Yeah.
unfortunately, it's very much of the same. And without trying to be too negative, I mean, tonight you're playing against your nearest rivals in the league in terms of league placing,
Hmm.
and we're comprehensively beaten tonight, mate.
Yeah, I mean they had one with the same tactic against Dragon Destroyers last week, so maybe there was some hope in that. But I think, as I perhaps mentioned to some of the other managers, if with the squad that I mean, I know he's sold some of the players, Rob, and I don't know what's going on, but he still has a squad that's really quite strong. I mean, if he gets this
And
working, then
Crespo's on the bench, mate, and you're
yeah,
doing that. He's still to come in.
yeah,
Wow,
yeah,
they could
that's
they could certainly have an interesting second half of the season, and it might be too late for them to get the top six, but they might have a big say in who does finish in the top six, if you know what I mean.
yeah, definitely, definitely. Right. That brings us to the final game of the season. We're off to Sweden for Valen United.
Hmm.
Um, the
Hmm.
Swedish steamroller picking up the pace, and Shevchenko
Doing
haven't
great.
even really started scoring yet. I think he's only got four so far. I mean, he could get more out of
He
him.
can mix it. He can mix it. Yeah, and I think the beauty with Valen, I mean, they've got that advantage of being a new manager, new at the league, new ideas, a new formation, a new setup, one that the staple managers that have been there, over the course over the previous seasons, have never came up against before.
Hmm.
It's catching them all off guard. They have that, beauty of, that people aren't prepared for them. The same way as you know how um, Palmer's going to line up. You know how Hoddesdon are going to line up. You know
Hmm.
how the Crayons are going to line up. You know that fine well in terms of formation, not personnel. But with regards to Valen, they've got that element of surprise about them right now. And fair play to them though. But, in their debut season, going top of the pile after 10 games. I've got to say, I don't know Andreas at all, but a very very well done to him. I've got to admit that.
Yeah, well, he's I don't know. I don't think I'm disclosing any of his secrets here, but he sent me like 8 tactics files at the beginning of the season and said, "I'll tell you before each game which one I would like to use."
Fair. That's fair. That's clever.
So
So he is a student of the game then.
he's very well prepared, I think, and with extensive instructions and things like that, without overcomplicating things like myself. However, the question is, has he gone one step too far this evening by putting Cafu on a central midfielder?
Hmm. I don't like that aspect of the team. I
he's
have
been
to admit.
he's been completely like unplayable, unstoppable. 8 whatever average, 5 assists in his 10 games.
Yeah, I noticed that you were talking about him in the last show, and I mean, I liked what Andreas said. He says, "No, look, I'll not just be this season. I'll be looking to play him maybe the 2, 3 more years out of Cafu." And I've got to
Hmm.
admit, I subscribe to that massively. I had Paulo Maldini for 4 seasons, and
Hmm.
he's 2 years older than Cafu. Definitely, if you, it's just how he utilises him, and I think you're right to bring it up, Martin, because that centre midfield role, it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
It's worth a look, but I don't. He's not going to be as effective as he is out wide, is he?
Uh-huh.
It's just whether he can. You don't want to see him suddenly scoring fives. Do you
No,
know what I
that's
mean?
that's true. You don't want to ruin his average.
Yes, yes. B
Right,
Tech.
so you agree, you found something, you finally found something that you and Tim agree on. You can't handle players average going down for self-inflicted
Not worth it,
reasons.
man. No, not worth it. It just looks bad on their CV, man. You know what I mean? I hate that. I hate that.
Yeah,
You've got
well,
to think about their careers as well.
that's true. That's true. BTEC, now with the revamped what do you call it, substitution bench that I,
Yeah,
for some reason,
I
had
mean,
put two keepers on. Familiar tactic. We saw
yep,
other teams, Kieran, Tim, a couple of one or two others, I think, lining up with this one,
yep,
with some arrows on it.
yep.
Danielson, he's been getting really a tune out of him so far this season. I think he's been the player
The
of the season so
Nielsen's
far.
someone who can do awesome things. Ian's got a lot to sort of achieve, I think, this season at BTEC. I mean, I know he felt with the refreshing was a bit of a disadvantage to him. I think he really did like what he was building
Hmm.
at the former BTEC Troopers, and he obviously is true because he's felt that attached to it that he's carried on the team name,
Hmm.
which remember he never invented himself. So that
Hmm.
shows you he's got a bit of an emotional attachment with the Troopers. Ian's one of the nicest guys I've ever came across in my life. I just think his team needs to get a bit more nasty and not be too nice. They need to get a streak to them,
Hmm.
and that streak has to become a ruthless one. BTEC Troopers with that starting 11 have to be top six.
You would have thought so, but as I mentioned in the
It's a
beginning,
fantastic starting 11, Martin.
true. But as I mentioned in the beginning of the show, BTEC are the only team who've conceded in
Concede.
every single one of their
Yeah,
games so far this season. And with the way that Valen's been going so far this season,
I know, but the BTEC need to start getting points on the board now because before you know it, it can be too little, too late.
true.
Luckily, in this league, it only takes mini runs to get you flying up that league table. A wee mini winning run of three in a row will
Yeah,
get you
yeah. I mean, we're
bouncing up that
we're we're
table.
we're almost halfway in the season, and there's like 4 or 5 points between second and seventh. So it's
Yeah,
there's obviously still
that's a
still
great selling point as well, man. That's how you get viewers. That's how you get people tuning into this because that's how you want the league table to be.
we'll see what the stat says halfway through the season, but we're definitely putting the hours in, and we're definitely doing it tonight as well.
We're
But
putting the hours in tonight, mate. I know I've talked the hind legs off a donkey as usual,
I
man.
was gonna say you and me, you and
It's a
me on
disaster,
comms
man.
is always gonna drag out a bit, but there's still viewers. But let's kick this one off. I think Andreas is even. It's midnight for him already over in Sweden, so let's kick this one off. Oh, and then just just as I said that, BT has decided to screw with Russell's internet again. So it'll just be me with the comms, I think at the moment. So Valen, I think, having the most of the chances. Pardon me, I was looking at the Skype, and there's Saviola with getting the Swedes off to a decent start. Still fairly even if we're looking at the possession bar at the bottom. Pinardi doing a job for BTEC out on that left hand side. Proton also coming in. I think that might be his debut, or certainly one of his first games. It's been fairly even so far. BTEC still with a good shout, I think. And that's half time. Perhaps not the most exciting of games so far that we've seen, but BTEC in it. We've seen a lot of BTEC action. I thought it was more than the one shot, to be fair. But let's have a quick look at the stats here for BTEC. Kalusny, disappointing. That's one of the things that I've noticed with BTEC. It's a shame that Boise's not here. I would have liked to discuss that with him. The stats of the BTEC players are not the stats are fine. The averages that they're putting in, I'm picking players that aren't playing. Kieran Dyer is probably one of the best with 733. This is another debutant. Danielson 760, Contra 756. 6 for Yapstam average. Maybe it's in my head. I had the idea that the BTEC players weren't averaging that well, but perhaps it's just me, or maybe it's just the defensive midfielders, Lee Young Pyo, Fogel, and all of these guys that are not getting excellent stats. But not the best of evenings for BTEC, but also not the worst. One goal down. If they'd had more chances, there might have been some hope for the second half. At the moment, it looks tricky. Let's have a look how Valen are doing. Cafu is doing okay, but I mean, it's not really what Andreas was hoping for. I'm trying to see what the changes are. I think it's Olise that we have to put on for Duff. So we take Duff on, Olise on, and then we do this. I think I followed the instructions. Um, if not, then I do apologize. We'll see if we can get Russell back on.
I'm back, mate.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, I hate these bastards. Honestly, they're for it tomorrow anyway.
Right. Well, Andreas has abandoned, according to his instructions, he's abandoning the Cafu experiment at halftime. Cafu was only getting a 7, so he's moving back to his original position, and Olise is
Okay.
coming in to.
If you could share the screen for me just so I can see it, mate, that'd be brilliant.
Oh gosh, yeah, that you dropped that one again.
It's my fault it keeps dropping out. You know what I mean? So yeah, so the Carfu experiment, he wasn't convinced by, was he?
No, I mean, according to his instructions, if Cafu is not doing that well, then he goes back to his defensive role, and then Olise comes on to kind of shore up the result. I mean, he's already winning 1-0 and he's dominated the first half. I don't know, you obviously missed it, but
Yeah, I missed it, mate.
there's not been much
Yeah.
in it for BTEC at all. One goal, one shot on target, and that's been about it.
Yeah, fucking hell. I mean, you've got to say for BT, I mean, it's there's getting beat off the league leaders and then there's going out without a whimper, you know, and or with a whimper, I should say.
Hmm.
They've got to create more. They've got to look more dangerous going forward. He may need to adopt something akin to Panathinaikos. Now, I don't mean necessarily playing one defender. What I try to mean here is he is going to need to adopt a high risk strategy soon because they need points on the board. I think he needs to do something, a bit gung ho.
I was going to say that is there a case for that for some of the teams that aren't doing maybe that well? I mean, we can see Sloths have started to pick up. I think maybe they were kind of trying to copy people a little bit in the beginning. First, he had his own tactics, Rob, and that didn't go well. Then he was doing a bit of copying that didn't go particularly well either. Now he's got his own tactic. He's got a couple of points recently. Is that something maybe BTEC should consider as well instead of the tried and tested existing formations?
Definitely, I think, mate, he's gonna need to go. It's you know the saying, high risk, high reward, and I think for me, BTEC need to take a chance in the next few games and maybe adopt something unique like playing two wingers. I don't
Hmm.
know, something like that. I'm not saying that's the solution. What I mean is that's something no other team's doing right now,
Yeah.
and I think
If anyone can get two people in these positions up here working, then give me a shout because that's been
it
that's
seems
been
impossible.
that's
But
bothered
what
me
about
for
the what about
17 years or 18 years
I
to
know.
get someone working in those
I
positions.
hear
But
you, mate. I mean, what about even three AMCs instead of three DMCs? Something like, just, I mean, I'm being completely hypothetical,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
I
But
think he needs to
Ryan
take
did
more
Ryan
of a
did it
gamble.
and went away. Ryan did it, and Bolton had a pretty good result. I think he played 4 here and then 3 up here. It was something odd like that, and it worked really well. But yeah,
Fantastic.
we'll see if BTEC do anything in the second half with
I'd like
regards
to
to
see
coming
them. I
back in
want
it.
to see Ian do well. He's an ambassador for the league as much as a manager, you know,
Hmm.
with the club logos and all the effort he puts in to promote, the clubs at themselves with all their sort of skins on their page and all that. I mean, he's a total legend, and
Hmm.
I'd like to see him do well. I mean, losing to Valen's not the end of the world, if they're top of the league anyway. But perhaps just to just take a wee bit extra risk might
Hmm.
might might pay off for him.
Might pay off for him. I mean, he's certainly keeping. He's done better than most recently in keeping the game under control, and Valen eventually running out the 1-0 winners.
Saying nothing in BTEC, it was a containment job, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean the damage limitation, which to some extent was a success, but it's still 0 points, unfortunately. I mean, nothing for Kaluzny to write home about. Yapstam getting another 6.
Aye.
There's lots of sixes there. You don't want to see sixes in your ratings, do you really? And
No, Kaluzny with a 5. I mean, I know Kaluzny is not flavour of the month with a lot of the other managers. I've got to admit, I think he's fantastic.
yeah,
He's always done a good job for me. Um, I
yeah,
appreciate other people's opinions on it, and they're not convinced. And yes, certainly those.
yeah. I mean, I think there's something
Can you hear
wrong
me?
with. Yeah, 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 I hear you fine.
I'm gonna lose my shit, man.
Right,
Can you hear
okay.
me?
Yeah,
Oh, you can hear me again.
yeah,
So the
yeah, yeah.
connection broke again, man.
No, no, no,
Um,
it's all good. I think
the
there's something with his central midfielders, his defensive midfielders. I think
okay.
there's something not right there.
Well, I like both Lee Young Pyo and Prutton
Hmm.
in those positions. I don't rate Alex Pinaldi at all.
I think he's in as a kind of stopgap thing. I think that there's someone better there who might be BTEC have a lot of injuries. They have a lot of injuries at the moment. Let me just have a quick look at that first. Yeah, I mean they've got Ashley Cole out injured. Agahawa can play out there. He's injured. That's about it actually.
Mm,
Mm,
I'm not convinced by the Pinaldi option at all. For BTEC going forward, I would quite like to see Constantinu or Constantinu, however you pronounce it,
hmm.
getting a bit of a run as well. If that means playing two up top, then so be it. Perhaps I think it's maybe evading people's memories as well, Martin. Timo Shamrocks were the top scorers, I think, until we overtook them, I think, in the last game of the season or something as top scorers. But Timo Shamrocks played three up front every game, three
Hmm.
strikers.
Yeah, yeah.
If my memory serves me right, not one club's doing that right now.
No,
There's a wee
they're not.
sort of nudge. There's a wee nudge in Ian's direction, I think. Perhaps go all out with three strikers because it did bring a lot of joy for clubs last season.
Yeah.
Like, before the revamp, I know it's a new era and it's
Hmm.
different managers and it's different tactics, but you need to have a unique selling point, you could
Yeah,
say.
you need a USP, definitely. I mean,
Yeah.
he does have Pizarro to come back from injury as well. Obviously, he's suffering
Mhm.
from not being able to play him, but yeah, that's
And
still.
Martin Pizarro benefited the most from playing as a part of a front three.
Hmm. Yeah. So yeah, yeah, for sure. Was it for Timo he played last season in the last
Yeah, he
season
was
in the
at
old
Timor.
Super
He was
League?
part
Yeah.
of the. Yeah, he was part of the three up front. I mean, I know Ian's saying he's not got enough fit players just now. I mean, as I say, we're talking about in general. Your outlook
Hmm.
to the team. Maybe not. Perhaps his injuries just now. I totally get that, but again, it's a hypothetical suggestion or solution.
Hmm.
I just mean, if whether it's wingers, whether it's three strikers, whether it's three AMCs instead of three DMCs, I think there has to be more risks taken with these formations going forward, and I sincerely hope he starts getting results.
Yeah, well, it would certainly do the confidence of his team some good. Maybe if he can get, I'll see what his next game is. We'll see that in a minute. But maybe if he's got a bit of a not a free hit, but a home game where he can maybe experiment a little bit. But we'll see what he comes up with. 1-0 away to Valen is not a huge disappointment, to be completely honest. The performance was not great, but it's still, I mean, it could have been a lot worse. Let me put it that way.
Sure, sure.
Right, so those were the results for the evening.
Yep.
Plenty of home wins. Dragons, I mean, it was kind of unlucky that for Dragons that it wasn't like a clean sweep
Yeah,
of home wins
3-2.
with that
Yep.
disallowed goal there. Let's see what that does to the table.
I
Um,
think the result that stands out now, if I had a wee look
mhm.
there as well, just to quickly interject, the result that really stands out is the Hooligans one. 4-3, the legend that is Thiago getting that, but not only the 3 points, the fact they're now in that top two place again and Hoddesdon drop out of it,
Yeah, and they
um,
came back from
psychologically
three
is a
two, didn't
big
they?
psychologically is a big thing when you're getting to that top two.
Hmm.
Believe me, you want to not like suddenly the top two becomes like you're feeling it like there may as well be a dotted line between the top two and the other four as well in the top six because
Hmm.
that's got such benefits to it being in the top two. You definitely don't want to drop out of that, and it'll be interesting to see how Thiago's lot handle the pressure. But I mean, I like the character they showed tonight, and I thought they were the result of the day.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a good result for them. And as you mentioned, I mean, I think I've worked out the playoff system as well, and it definitely gives you a
It's not
benefit.
easy.
It definitely gives you a benefit to not be to be one of the top two
Up to
teams. I
six.
think they've got a slightly bit easier run and less
It
injuries
is
to
because
worry
you get
about and
two.
things like that.
Well, you get two bites at the apple. You
Mhm.
know, if you lose your first playoff against first place, or if you were
Mhm.
first against second, and then if you lose that, you still then get to play the winner of the wee mini
Mhm.
competition, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth enter into. So getting the two stabs at it is crucial. And now Hooligans is in there, he ain't going to want to lose that.
Yeah, and as Ryan quite rightly points out here, everything to play for. Obviously, we can just make a note that say Valen United are top of the table. They're doing decent on their form. I think they are now games without losing. They're 8 games without losing now. Bolton six
Phoenix are
without
six,
losing.
I called that.
So
Um,
they're doing quite
Brilliant.
well up there. But if as Ryan points out, Hoddesdon Hornets are third with 19 points. Chudley Cannons are 10th with 17 points. It's really, I mean,
Yeah,
you
there's a
win
big
you win one
fluctuation
game, and you're back in the top six. You lose one and you're out of the
yeah.
top six. I mean, uh, depending on
The,
how results could go, Hoddesdon, Ardsley, Palmer, and Midlothian, if they lose next week, if one of them loses next week and other results go in the opposite direction, either one of them could be out of the top six next week.
Yes, potentially. What I would say as well is that you'll see a slight pattern forming in terms of the goals for and the goals against. Now, we look at Hoddesdon, they've got a +6.
Mhm.
I know the Crayons are only 2 points behind them, but they're also a -2 goal difference, which in my opinion almost counts as a point.
Mhm.
Um, when it's a 9 goal swing. Touchdown Massive, they're only 3 in the plus. Um, when you look higher up the table, the goal difference just seems a bit better.
Mhm.
Asta, Asta Athletic, need to get their shit back together because I mean you can tell by their sort of goal difference, they have they had a really successful start and thank God they did. Otherwise they'd be far lower in the place. But they really need to start getting back on form
Back
because
on
other
winning
teams are
ways.
picking up points now, aren't they? I mean, Phoenix are 6 games unbeaten and still not in the top six.
Yeah.
That's surprising, isn't it?
But they did have a pretty shitty start to the season, to be
They
fair.
must have done, but yeah, but you've got, usually when you go on one of those mini runs, mate, if you do a mini run like 6 games unbeaten,
Yeah, yeah.
this there's only been 11 games played. I mean, it must have been a really shit start they had. But Phoenix, I want to watch down there. I'm pointing at the screen, thinking you can see me, but I know you can't. But Phoenix Phoenix are definitely want to mix up with the big boys.
Yeah.
Churchtown, I certainly think will get up the table as well. And B Tech very much are now entering the most important phase of the season for them. It's now make or break. They
Yeah,
go the next two
I was
games
gonna say for BTEC too. I mean, Dragons. It's not too late, but I mean, 8 points up.
from like
It's difficult to. I know there's still like whatever 15 games to go, but it's a difficult gap to make up, especially when the pack is so tight here. I mean, people are going to be playing each other. Everyone's going to be picking up points. You know, it's not going to be that these 4, 5, 6, 7 teams they're all going to drop points because they will be playing each other. So some of them will get points. So it's going to be tricky for Dragons now, Sloths
it's
and
tight.
especially Devils.
This is what you want from your point of view, Martin, as the chairman. This is a tight, very competitive league
Hmm.
with, let's be honest, not much between any of them.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't think
true.
there's a not there's not a huge gulf. I mean, we watched Somerset Sloths tonight. I was really impressed with them,
Hmm.
and yet They're only on 8 points this season. The Devils, we know, have better players in their league position, maybe belies. Uh, and then realistic, obviously the points tell all. The fact there's only 2 points between 10th and third. I think you've got a great season ahead. I don't want to see too many teams get cut adrift. Naturally, it's going to happen.
Hmm.
Naturally, it will happen. But I think you've got the making here of some epic headlines over the next sort of
It
few
could
months. To be
it could be
honest with
very
you,
exciting. Could be very
I
exciting
think it is.
come the end of the season. I mean, with teams moving up and down. I mean, as long as there'll always be something to play for. If not, then at least pride. But I think there will be definitely will be top six. There will
And
be a couple of top
can I
six
just
places up
clarify?
for grabs at the last game.
Yes, sorry to interrupt. Well, can I just clarify as well, just because it's in my head right now?
Hmm.
When is the transfer window occurring? Is that the halfway point you're doing
Yeah,
that?
so after
Cool.
round 13, so we've played 11 so
Yes,
far.
yes,
After
that makes
13
sense.
games, when everyone's had a fair chance to play each other with the original squads, then we'll do the transfer window. Hopefully, it'll all be done by the time we kick off round 14, so that it'll be the same squads against the same squads to kind of keep it as fair as possible. That's the idea. Of course, if there's one or two deals that are kind of like hanging on a little bit, I'm not going to stop them. But the
No,
idea
you've
is to
got
get
to give and
the
take.
idea is to
Yeah,
get the deals done between the 13th and the 14th round.
I
Um,
think that's great. I think that's brilliant. I think that's a good system.
so we'll try anyway, and then as mentioned, only two players in over Christmas because I didn't want to mess the whole thing up. Everyone's just gotten brand new squads. What are you complaining about?
I
But then
know.
we'll
And the
do
answer
some
can't always be sign a whole,
signing more
raft of
players.
new
Yeah,
players.
true,
It's
true,
it's
true.
it's it's
And then
not the way to
we'll
go.
do for the summer break. I mean, we're almost like doing like following the actual calendar in the game, so it'll be a while. But I think we'll do maybe like four transfers in the summer or something. I haven't fully landed on that yet, but we'll see. If we have a quick look at the player stats, Lee Boyer is still top of the average ratings, even though he's been out
Well,
for a while and he'll be out forever with his
he's a
broken
so I
whatever.
take he's a big miss then.
Yeah, he's out for 7 months with a broken leg. I don't think they've won since. They've not had a good result anyway since. I think maybe they've won once, but I don't think they've had a good performance since he
I,
went out.
I tell you what as well, that's really catch my eye. Zambrota having that high an average rating. I know he was a real life legend and all that shit, but
He's been
um,
wild in the game on the wing for
yeah,
Bolton definitely.
that's amazing. That's a good sign if he can get him playing that well. Patrick Powell's the other one that really, catches the eye being that
Hmm.
high
Yeah,
up the average ratings list. The other ones are kind of to be expected.
yeah. I mean,
To be
solid
honest, from maybe,
performances.
yeah,
If we're looking at the goals, Batistuta scored tonight, Rossini scored tonight, Keane
brilliant.
scored tonight, Morientes, Tristan, and Penza. I don't think Tsigalko scored tonight, but we're definitely starting to see a pattern of some of the top players that we can expect to be
Yeah.
here at the end of the season.
I
Um,
think Hoddesdon have got that just that perfect partnership, youth and experience, goals against goals.
hmm
With Sigalko and Batistuta, it's just fantastic, and Hoddesdon with those two up front, keep them fit, they'll be top six guaranteed.
hmm And what do you think about Ardsley with those the two Spanish boys, Morientes and Tristan? That's 14 goals between them. I mean, Hodgie's got to be happy with that as well.
Definitely. I mean, he's got to be really positive about that. Um, I think Tristan, as I say, I watched him pull up trees for Hoddesdon before. I think the Spanish connection between him and Morientes, they are two players that could get them a lot of goals. Are the Celtic are to watch this season? I know I've said it maybe about a few teams,
Hmm.
but I think they are. Their squad on paper is now looks like it's beginning to click as well.
Yeah.
They're a threat. They're a huge threat for top two.
hmm And finally, we're looking at this, but the assist. I mean, Carsten Ramelov top of the assist stats.
Bizarre. But brilliant though.
Yeah,
Absolutely fucking. That's what makes the league brilliant. Um,
great to see
Carsten
some new
Ramelow,
players, some new blood.
an ex de Berea who's you think you play as a striker on AMC's playing as a wing back or wide right for
Hmm.
Churchtown and is the joint top assist maker. That's fucking great.
Yeah,
Um,
so good so
yeah,
far. Good so far. Finally, if we have a quick look at the fixtures for next week, I think people are still hanging around waiting for those. Although I did send them out all out at the beginning of the season, but I appreciate that a lot of people might have
fucking
lost
join
them.
the patter, Martin. Trust me.
um, Ardsley Celtic, so they're on a good run. They are at home to Churchtown. That's a
Home win,
tricky one for Churchtown. I think,
home win there.
yeah.
B Tech
If we
against Swindon.
said, I said, if BTEC have a bit of a, I don't want to sound too harsh, if BTEC have a bit of a free hit in their next home game, could they try something different?
they have to go with what I'm saying, not in terms of the suggestion I came up with, but they have to go high risk
Hmm.
against Swindon. Go gung ho. If you can't do it against the team bottom of the league and take a punt, then there's no point being here anymore. They need points quickly. That is the perfect game at home to do it. I expect to see something quite extravagant from BTEC. I think Dragon Destroyers. I can't believe I just said that title. Jesus Christ! But I think the DDs could be up against it against Palmouth and Icos. I thought they were narrowly beaten tonight.
Hmm.
Hooligans will fancy their chances against Bolton, but Bolton are unbeaten in six. That's a tight one. That's got draw written all over it. Midlothian will beat Astor at home, and Alves' problems will get a wee bit deeper, unfortunately. Um, Somerset at home to Chudley. I mean, that's the wooden spoon sort of match. I mean, that's probably a draw. And then Valen at home to Hoddesdon is a fucking belter, isn't it? That is,
That's gonna be a good one.
that's that's the match. That's the match. Valen against Hoddesdon, because Valen's not going to have had a test like this yet. They're now coming against a veteran, someone with all the know-how, all the experience, and is Mr. Consistency. That'll be really interesting.
Hmm. Yeah, it definitely some interesting games there. Interesting to see if the Dragons against Palmer's not going to like that, is he? It's a bit of a bogey team there away to Dragons with Robbie Keane in the form that he's been in. Could be a difficult one.
Mm. Be interesting.
Just gonna have to.
It'll be
Oh,
interesting.
I'm gonna have to
Um,
just gonna stop laughing at Ryan winding up Thiago in the chat.
I'm pushing myself laughing, man. Pushing myself laughing at Tiago. It's just he's just a character, man. Uh,
So
but I
it
what a
seems
night! What a fucking night!
it seems as if these are going to be the fixtures. Andreas is questioning whether he's playing Swindon. It doesn't look like it. I think that's next week, Andreas. So I don't know if the league has changed the fixtures due to
Might
international
have,
games or whatever.
it can
The
happen, mate.
the fixtures I sent out that was as they were at the beginning of the season. I haven't
Yeah,
updated them or looked at
they
them
can
since.
definitely
So
change.
they can
Trust me, mate.
change.
Yes, they
And
can. I can confirm that. They definitely can change. So that's obviously what's happened there.
fair enough.
They dedefinitely can, because I've had it. I've had it before.
Questions are going, what's going on here? I thought this was
No,
it.
tell them not to worry. It does. It does happen. The Australian league's bonkers, Andreas. You'll get used to it.
Right, well, maybe at the halfway point of the season, I'll send out some new fixtures for people to have a look at. Anyway, I think that concludes the action for tonight. We
Nice
managed to
one,
do
man.
it in just short of 2.5 hours, so that was that was
Not too bad, man.
really well done
We've
us.
kept the masses entertained. They've all stayed online, so you know what I mean. It couldn't have been
Yeah,
too
pretty
bad.
much all of them are still there, so that's definitely good news.
Awesome,
Um,
mate. Love that.
Thanks very much for joining us. Thanks for the chat. Good to have one of the former managers and the reigning champion on to give his views. I'm not sure. I think we've got 5 feedback next week, if I remember rightly.
Brilliant.
Yeah, we'll hopefully the Super League will continue to go from strength to strength. And
Yeah,
thanks very
you
much
keep
for
up the
your
good
input,
work,
mate.
mate. You keep up the good work, Martin. You're doing a great job, and I mean that sincerely. Nice to have
Much
you on, and
appreciated.
all the best to the rest of the teams apart from the Crayons.
Much appreciated. Take care,
Take care, my
Russell.
man.
Good night to everyone
See
out
you,
there.
pal.
Good night.
Bye bye.